Welcome back. Very short break, but we're back with it. Week 1, Froyo versus Corsia. I saw Witness Gaming in the server, but Froyo versus Corsia on Snakewater. And this is probably, I think right now you could say the 1 seed and the 2 seed going up. And kind of little playoff series, 2 games in a row. And should be really nice to see.
Yep, back-to-back coverage. First map is going to be Snakewater, second map is going to be Villa, so it should be kind of exciting to see. This is a week 1 map, very old, but it is eventually getting played out, and the rosters are up on the screen for those of you who are unsure of Corsia's roster. They've been having a couple of hiccups as of late, but they have Ash back on Soldier, so they're back in full force, and they got their team ready to go, so should be an exciting match to see.
Yeah, with if for those who aren't so familiar with Corsia, I'll run down the roster. They have Yite on Flank Scout, Brand Slam on Combo Scout, Trip on Roamer, Ash on Pocket, Alex on Demo, and Zilly on Medic. A team from last season that had a couple people subbed in, and pretty strong so far. And they've had a great rivalry with Morning Light so far this season.
Yep, they've been trading some blows back and forth in terms of their scrims and their matches. So if there's anyone to sort of contest Corsia as the number 2 seed, it would definitely be Morning Light. But as of right now, they are sitting in the number 2 spot. So I'm trying to do what they can to hold on to that. And a good showing against Froyotech would definitely prove that they deserve to be there. So that's definitely what they're looking for tonight with these 2 matches.
Yeah, people starting to join the server, and like we did last time, for both teams to win, who do you think is going to have to be the impact most important player on each team?
Well, it's Snakewater. I'd probably put a lot of pressure on probably the demos, at least, because this is definitely, well, actually maybe even the scouts. Just for me, definitely not the soldiers, because all I've heard from soldier mains is definitely a rough map if your team is not playing well. Like, if your team is not playing well, you don't really get to do a whole lot in certain areas of the map. It really feels like your effectiveness is extremely limited. So I would put more focus on for Froyo, definitely on like Habib and Banny to create a lot of space for the team, but in the same vein, probably something like Brandon Slam and Alex.exe out of Corsia to allow their soldier players to do what they need to do to reach victory.
Yeah, for Corsia, I'm gonna say Brand Slam. I think he's got to be on top of it, making sure they have good Ubers, they have good calls, and he's definitely keeping Zilly in good positions to stay alive. And on the other end, I'm gonna say Eric, because Eric can be an absolute pain if you don't have your flank, at least making sure you keep their flank accounted for, and just getting a scout behind on this map, backcapping second, backcapping last, or just going behind and isolating 1v1s can be really obnoxious. And that definitely could make a lot of space for Froyo to maneuver.
For sure. We do have the match predictions up on the screen. Personally, I'm not really sure about Villa for Snakewater. I think for the most part, this is gonna be more of a Froyotech map, maybe. Unless Corsia have been like getting really prepped for Snakewater. I guess this is a week 1 match after all, so it's kind of something that was in the back of their minds for at least a little bit. But I'd probably say something of maybe along the lines of like a 5-2. I think for Froyo is my guess.
You know what? I haven't seen them play yet, so I'm gonna say hopefully 5-3 for Froyo. But we're getting in to the first mid. Take it away, Jarrett.
Saw Blaze on Huntsman Sniper for a second. I was kind of afraid, but that was just from the pregame. But we do have both teams rolling out so far. Nothing really crazy about rollouts, but sticky sniping across the mid will eventually happen. So we'll have to see what early damage goes on each team. Alex getting some decent damage onto the opposing team, but not without Habib following suit. Not a lot of soldier aggression going behind it in kitchen, but speaking of soldier aggression, we do have both soldiers colliding in the air, and it's going to prevent Blaze from landing where he wants to go. He lands right into Trip's rocket, which is very unfortunate. Good counter initiation coming out from Jay to try to collect as many frags as possible. It was really getting popped into the air. That's going to be a nice pipe from Habib to make sure that kill is secured. So with only 2 people left alive on Corsia, it seems like they're going to go ahead and chalk it up as a loss, and go ahead and back up a little bit. That was a little bit of a funny mid. Did not expect both soldiers to collide into each other's models in the air.
Yeah, Blaze kind of getting the shorter end of the stick on that bomb. Trip getting sent in the skybox. And Froyo ends up getting Zilly down, so they're going to have huge ad. Of course, you're going to end up with the gun, the sentry gun, the engineer, and the sniper last told. Uber's not going to be coming anytime soon for them. And now Froyo gets an opportunity at the one of the best opportunities you're usually going to get for a round. They have a 50% Uber ad at the moment. And they're going to take it through the most standard door, the shutter. And they're probably going to try and focus this gun down and get through. They pop in through the shutter. Sniper will not be a problem right now. They get in, find the gun, they get the gun down. No point time yet, and the Uber is fading. Banny now getting on the cap. A lot of damage gets picked off. Trying to get on the beat. They could be down, and now there's a fully buffed heavy at the end of this Uber. And this is just a really hard situation to try and win, and Skis recognizes that, gets out. Eric decides to go for a play, gets a pick onto Ash, and Skis should probably die here, but Eric on the other end causing a lot of havoc, and Skis doing a great job of living, and Yite decides to cut his losses and gives up.
Yite missed one too many shots, and that's gonna let Skis get through, which is pretty unfortunate for them. But the good news is they do have an Uber ad to work off of, so all they have to do is get Ash up, and they're actually trying to poke around with Adam. They know worst case this Uber shouldn't be too bad. Blaze trying to take the initiative, try to do a blind bomb is gonna get Yite enough for him to get dropped, and the Uber hasn't come out yet. Jay trying to go behind and try to fight a 1v1 with Ash. The Ash is not gonna allow that to happen, but that does create a little bit of confusion. Not necessarily everyone on Corsia is forward with this Uber. It is 2 people, but 2 people might be enough. Skis on 10 HP is gonna be able to escape in the kitchen. Bandy doing the best he can to try to create some distraction, and that is gonna allow Habib to pick up 2 and Alex.exe and Trip. So the aggression from Froyotech is definitely not stopping, and it's created enough of a good impression for them to be able to get some space here despite the cap overturning. No Demoman is not going to be a good situation for Corsia to be in, so with 2 people down, it's a little bit sketchy. Both scouts kind of showing their faces, but I think they've kind of realized that this has not gone the way that they wanted to.
Yeah, that Uber, once again, Skis just barely getting out, and they turn it around immediately, getting 2 trades. And Froyo, once again, with the decent Uber ad to push in the last, not as big as last time. And once again, you're going to see the sniper NG defense from the side of Corsia. And Froyo's ad dwindling and dwindling. They're going to have 25 or 20% by the time they actually get in. But Banny just getting here. This may be really bad if they don't recognize they're going to be this close. They pop in, get the gun down. Banny across, Habib across, locking people in spawn. They get Alex and Ash. Great Uber. Zilly just has the hope to get it, and they're going to get it right now, but they end up dropping 3 players. It's just Trip, Brandslam, and Zilly trying to deal with all these players, and a lot of damage from Trip, and they can get Blaze down, but 2 scouts up, and Banny's going to cause a lot of chaos and going to stall these players really hard.
Skis was 1 HP, and that is exactly enough you need to live, so it seems like Froyotech is going to be able to hold some presence in lobby here, make sure they're buffed up a little bit, but, you know, despite the fact that the Corsia is able to be in it, it doesn't seem like they're able to be in it fast enough to actually break onto the 2. So good hold from Corsia, not necessarily the situation they wanted, dropping 3 players before they're able to get through Uber, but still a successful last hold nonetheless, so I'm sure they'll take that. And it seems like we're in a bit of an even scenario. Trip trying to see what he can do, spamming the right side, but he's going to get really weak. Drop to 10 and then taken out by fall damage, so that is a pick that Froyotech is looking for. Ash trying to make some space back where Trip was, and that is going to lead to Bandy's death, seeing if he can try to collect that kill and will be unsuccessful. But Froyotech, I think Habib has recognized how much space he's gotten. He's just out here trying to spam pipes, getting Zilly really weak. So Froyotech keeping up the aggression, trying to work the doors the best they can. Brandslam trying to cover it as well, but he doesn't really have a whole lot of support. He's getting dropped very low, 40 HP, and Blaze is going to go in expecting either collect that kill or get the force out of Zilly from his rotation, but is not able to quite find him because the tower's in the way. A little bit damage on the Zilly, but not quite enough to get the force, so it seems like things are going to chill out for a little bit for a sec here. We do have a maybe even counter sack, but knowing Trip, I wouldn't be too surprised if he doesn't go for it. He's a little bit weak. He usually doesn't go for counter sacks when he's already weak, so back to a little bit of a slower pace stalemate. You know, got a gun being built by Brandslam. Cookie cutter for now from Froyotech, so we'll have to see what they decide to do when they peek these doors and see what route they want to go to get this force out of Zilly.
Yeah, very standard gun being put up. It watches that lower door and drop down. It's really difficult to spam. Love to see how they deal with it. They're probably going to end up going through the enemy team's top right and trying to get a lot of space and get in, because there's not really anybody up on this door. Alex really far back. It's just Ash on this tower. And Froyo now just trying to peek around in lobby, see what they can try and spam this gun. Getting ready still. Yeah, Habib gets headshot. Great snipe from Yite. And it's going to force Froyo out of lobby. A lot of damage from Ash, and they get Banny with the sync rocket from Ash and Trip. And that's going to be a really big opening with Habib and Banny down. These doors should be a lot easier to break through. Brandslam actually peeking. They get a soldier in as well. They get the force. And great play from the team of Corsia getting the force out. And now Banny actually on the spy, and this will not be expected at all. And if he can get a good timing and no one stays at last for Corsia, this could be around.
Yeah, but the question is, will anyone check? I'm not sure they really expect this, and the extra good thing about it is because the Ashe kill was so late, Banny has plenty of time to try to traverse his way into last. He's already through lower on last, and it doesn't seem like that Corsia is really doing anything to try to stay behind. So as soon as Ashe turns the corner here, I'm sure Banny's going to decouple and get ready to get this cap, just waiting for the perfect moment from his team. The soldiers desperately trying to go back to see if they can stop Banny, but Trip gets there in time and is able to stop the cap. But with no soldiers on 2 right now, this does not bode well for the people of Corsia. Zill's going to get dropped down to the bottom floor and piped by Abib, finished off by Eric. So overall, you know, despite things being kind of scrappy, actually Eric, they're not even settling. Eric's just going in. He thinks he can get this by himself, and they're not even going to use the Uber out. They're just going to go in and kind of assume that doors aren't being held on the right. So that's a round conversion from Froyotech. So we'll have to see what happens at the next mid, actually, and see if we see another moment where both soldiers collide in the air.
Yeah, but the Uber in the front not getting anything really costed them, because they sent 2 soldiers back to stop the spy, but didn't work out. Great job from Eric, and now pretty basic mid so far. You're probably going to see a lot of aggression from these soldiers once again. Everyone kind of spamming, getting ready. A bit of damage onto Zilly. Trip getting into the other team's kitchen, trying to put a little pressure. Blaze and the other team saw. Both teams with the soldier behind. Eric on the roof. Ashe is in. Trip getting picked off. A lot of damage onto Jay. And they're trading a lot of players. Zilly getting picked off, and now it's just Skis and Eric left. And there's a lot of weak players. This is so winnable for Eric if he recognizes the weak player. And Brandslam, good job in the mid-range, getting the pick onto Eric, and a great mid-win from Corsia.
Seems like the Froyotech counter-initiation wasn't exactly what they wanted it to be. There was some attempt to try to go forward and try to stop the people from Corsia from standing on the point, but they weren't really too fruitful. I saw Soldier get in one of the lanes and not really necessarily quite on Corsia as hard, so it makes sense that they're able to collect so many kills early on and overall win this mid even by a slim margin. But it's relatively even. Uberskis did die a bit first, but it seems like they're trying to go for a dry fight early on. Going to drop a scout kill to Habib. I'm sure he kind of expected a dry push coming from them. You kind of know the style of teams by now, but them trying to push off the picks is leading to frags in both directions. Bandy trying to create enough space for Blaze to get in, going to get a rocket on a Zilly, but not necessarily going to fall up immediately as the other threat in Alex.exe is still in, and Jay is going to be able to clean up that kill on the shotgun. Did not expect to see that, but things are just crumbling for Corsia all the way on their side of the map, and it's just Zilly left alive with Brandslam rolling out through lower. Blaze is going to try to prevent them from getting onto Zilly, but even though he's able to collect that kill, it doesn't seem like it's enough time. But actually, enough beef shots, they're able to kill Zilly, but not with put Skis in harm's way, so Skis will fall as well. Not exactly what they wanted out of a pushing team, and with Banny falling right after, it does not seem like things are going to go too well unless Eric is unseen here behind the shack and going to get a random kill. Seems like Alex.exe is a bit too aggressive, but Eric's not quite hitting the shots that he exactly needed. Alex.exe 18 HP, and it does not... Oh, never mind. At the very last second, he was very committed, very confident in himself, able to collect that kill. So that's going to definitely hurt Corsia's attempt to try to use the player advantage they had to push this.
Unfortunate timing initially from Eric, but hits the chip shot in the end to clean up Alex, just barely getting him in the end, and that's going to stop the push from Corsia. About 10-15% ad from Corsia. And Freud is definitely trying to push off of this demo pick to get 2 people through that catwalk. A lot of damage traded out. Habib down. Jay, a really weak air shot onto Blaze. Now it's just Banny in alone. Eric trying to come in to help his scout partner. And he's doing a really good job of peeling for Banny. They're trying to heal up, but still, it's 3v4. Not a great fight. Ashe especially getting back in here. And as long as they try and take this fight and not feed any players, this should be really good. Ashe doing a great job of living. Eric trying to get out now. Uber already here for Corsia. Froyo kind of has to concede the second point for now.
Yep, locking it down, making sure that the reinforcements from Froyotech aren't able to burst through, and I think they kind of recognize that it's definitely not worth it to try to break onto the 2. So they're entering last hold mode. Got a sniper and an engineer already set up on the right side of the map. Their left side's a little weak, but we'll have to see if they're able to remedy that in time, or of course they're able to notice that and try to abuse it themselves. Corsia not necessarily on any off classes yet, because it wasn't necessarily set in stone they were going to get to, so have to see what they can do to try to spam out any sniper or soldier seeking snipers, getting some body shots as people try to enter lobby, so I'll have to see if any of those are converted into kills. But for now, of course, yeah, they got a decent amount of time to work with. They can take this as slow as they want, especially because, you know, they know the other team kind of has a sniper. You got to be careful about where you're peeking and not accidentally feeding him kills. They're going to work their way through lower here, see when they try to spot any sort of gun, but Blaze is definitely on the lower half of the map. Drop down is eventually going to get covered, and it seems like the first kill is going to drop from Eric onto Trip, so that's going to thwart any attempt to force for now. Actually, speaking of force, Blaze going in immediately off the bat and getting the force off Zilly. Didn't even notice that. I think that was, he just jumped straight through lower, was able to catch Zilly off guard, so really nice heads-up play from Blaze, and it seems like Corsia was not able to watch the doors they needed to, so Froyotech in a good position to push here.
Yeah, and Yite and Ash, along with Trip, trying to be set up around this cheese. Froyo trying to get through this bats area, and Bandy gets in pretty clean. A pipe in, a soldier bomb, a lot of damage onto the bats, but there's not any follow-up. Trip and Yite pushing the cheese side. Yite getting behind, a lot of damage onto Eric, and he's pulling people back, but everyone coming back. This back cap should not end up in anything. And at least on the bright side, they get a couple trades and they buy a little bit of time, but Froyo not popping there is going to give them uber ad into mid.
Yep, slowed them down, and it makes the margin for air here a little bit rougher. They only have maybe like a 25% ad, maybe even less by the time they actually get to any of the doors to reach out into mid, so that might have actually bought enough time for them to be able to hold mid to comfortably go back into a stalemate situation rather than leapfrogging. So even though it didn't quite go the way they wanted to, still a decent play overall to try to go behind, and Yite himself is going to go for a different type of play, a little bit slower pace, going to roll it on Sniper this time. Not necessarily known, so we'll have to see where he takes his first shot and if he's able to find anything fruitful. It seems like their team is trying to make a little bit of space for him. Maybe he'll be able to get a soldier or a demo if he's lucky, but we're trying to poke around the doors. Yite's working his way in, see if he can see anyone. Not really able to find anything. It seems like Froyotech has understood the scenario they're in now. I have to be a little bit more careful and make sure the sniper's not able to get too deep. So we'll have to see how long he sticks on this door, if he goes for a rotation through lower, which we so often seen from sniper players.
Yeah, first shot's always the most important. He didn't even get one off because I think Jay jumped forward, spotted the sniper, and now they're going to try and roll out lower, pull some players down from Froyo, and slowly pressure forward and hope that Yite eventually hits a shot. And it looks like Froyo's going to push Saw with 3 players. Trips eyeing it. It does a good job of not dying there, but not giving it up entirely. They trade damage out with Eric, but Corsia's going to have to leave lower and regroup on mid.
Yep, Froyo definitely recognized that Saw was empty. There was only one person there, and it was Trip, and Trip cannot 3v1, or 1v3 rather, Froyotech, so that's gonna kind of thwart their plans at bringing their sniper into lower for the long run, and they're rotating back to Saw, see if they can get any picks. And they are gonna get one from Jay, not landing exactly where he wants to, and gonna be the first kill that Yite collects. He's gonna get piped though. Yite very, very low, so it's gonna slow down in terms of trying to collect another one, but he's peeking out of the window. Ash trying to make some space so he can go on to the enemy medic. Not exactly getting tons of damage onto Skis. As soon as I say that, Caster's Curse Skis gets very, very low. Going to collect the pack though, and not going to be too consequential. So it seems like with that pick and them having a sniper, of course he's going to go ahead and back up to mid and see what Froyotech has to throw at him in terms of a counter sack, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be too much actually. It seems like they're going to just sit around and wait for Corsia to mess up, because overall the ball's in their court. They got one round. You know, I'm pretty sure they're confident about playing against a sniper in general, so I don't think they need to do anything super rash, at least from their perspective.
Yeah, and still 7.5 minutes left for Corsia. If they really want to wait on the sniper, they can. Yite rotating around, going towards the lower door, trying to catch someone out, but I don't think anyone's peeking yet. Habib looking through the fence on the lower, so they do know he's going to be there, and now it's just whenever they want to commit, they will be coming in. Once again, it looks like they're trying to go towards that Saw side. Blaze jumping in, Ash in the window, not looking. Trip not looking either, gets caught in Saw along with Ash. Neither of them really ready for that, looking in the wrong places. And now with the sniper on Corsia, this is going to be really, really hard to fight this. If they want to, Bransom has to take the trade in. And Froyo takes it into them, gets the pick onto the sniper in the post, and these spawners are not going to be up in time. Zilly getting juggled and picked off in the end. Brand Slam 1 HP. 3 HP in this corner to be correct, and Habib cleaning them all up.
Yep, not a whole lot of good Saw control. They brought their demo lower, so there's no sticky traps in there. As soon as they see that, they just bust into Saw and collect the kills. And you don't have a whole lot of players up for your post tuber, it's going to be not so great for you, and especially if you get juggled on the doorway trying to get into Saw. So good position for Froyotech to be in. Trip's the only really person that's existing out on 2, and he's going to swiftly back up after realizing that So this is going to be a second point for Froyotech, and they have a decent, like, workable Uber ad to work with. Just got to build the rest of it, and it seems like Corsia knows that as they're getting ready to go ahead and go with their sniper gun setup on their own last.
Yeah, a bit different yights on the NG this time, but yeah, another really, really good opportunity. About 50% ad to push off of. It looks like they're probably... they're not in lobby yet. They're taking a little bit of extra time, though, and it looks like they're going to go through a... Nope, they're going through Shutter. All right, back to the standard Uber. They pop in onto Banny and Habib, getting straight in on this gun. Banny trying to bait the cap while they still have the Uber. Ash behind gets a lot of damage on the J, and the trap gets 2 players. It's a 4v3, a lot of cap time from Eric, but it's not enough. And now it's just Habib and Skis trying to leave. They want to try and catch out Skis. A lot of damage from Brand Slam onto Skis, and he's not going to get enough. Great stickies from Habib, and no one's really that close, but Alex bombing in. Nice sticky and a pipe onto Habib, and they clean up all those players. And now it depends if Froyo wants to try and salvage with these 4 players. It looks like to do. Blaze is jumping in high. Jay with the shotgun, not really able to do the same, but Zilly caught on this bats. Blaze gets just not enough damage, and both scouts not really getting much either. Eric gonna live here, and with that play being unsuccessful, mid's most likely gonna be on the side of Corsia unless one of these Habib's traps come up with a kill.
Yeah, he's got a trap and lower, and Alex.exe might eat it, but he is going to dead and not be successful by any kills. Ash trying to do the best he can to create space, and I think Froyotech has kind of realized that mid is not something that is really worth it for them and that it can actually get a force against. They have to try to do it on 2. Habib leaving through lower. Corsia sees this and recognizes Saw is probably not sticky traps. They're going to go immediately in, but they're not able to catch all the players they necessarily wanted. Alex.exe kind of hit his head on the wall. They're only going to collect 1. Actually, didn't notice the scout and underpass. They're going to collect 2, so despite a little bit of a hiccup in terms of executing the Uber, they're able to collect enough players to try to push this. They're working their way through upper lobby and lower lobby simultaneously, and that's going to maybe put too much pressure on Habib as they're able to collect the kill and only have to trade trip. Actually, never mind. Bandy going in and collecting the kill on Axe.exe, but no wonder it's so surprising. It's because I didn't expect them to be in lobby when the opposing team is on the point. Unfortunately for them, though, it seems like it is not quite enough. Too many people inside each other's models and not enough damage onto Skis, of course, Uber. So what was once going to be an amazing scenario for Corsia is not ending up fruitful at the end of the day. It's a medic dead, full Uber ad from Froyotech as soon as they get their players are looking to bust out into 2 here.
That was about a second off of a round. The spawners coming in just in time, and now the round gets flipped on its head. Alex actually caught here as well. They're going to commit a lot of players in. Skis with this full Uber ad, they opt to drop Habib there. Eric with a lot of damage on him. A scout going to last as well. They're trying to stall. Blaze is on last, though. He's going to have to win this 1v1 before they get the cap. And neither of those happen. Blaze with the 1v1 win, and Zilly getting picked there. They went all in for the back cap, and they came up with absolutely nothing. And they're in a worse position than they were before. Even a bigger Uber disadvantage, and they're not going to have... Actually, they're going to get their spawners for this point here. And Ash is on Sniper in the cheese, just predicting the other team's going to go Saw and hoping they're not ready for it.
Yep, not quite last to last, but just one step away from it, which is not a situation you want to be in. They do have the Sniper to work off of to see if they can flip the script a little bit, but I'm not sure if he's really hit his dot for now. I think they actually might have seen it, and that's why they're going ahead and work their way towards lower, because they know the Sniper's in cheese. Habib's taking a little bit of damage. The Sniper has rotated a small amount. Actually, never mind. He's still in cheese. He's focused on the flank, rotating around, just trying to be a little bit surprising, but the soldier initiation coming from Froyotech trying to make as much space as possible. It seems like the damage is going to be enough to actually enough to force Corsia out, but also enough to eventually pop the Uber. Both soldiers getting very, very weak, and the Uber's just used to create enough space to try to make sure that they can drive their way in and secure this cap, but it's not really what you want in terms of, you know, being anti-leapfrog, because now Corsia is in a pretty good position to be able to push in. Yeah, I think they're mostly just taking it because they're banking on Corsia to really screw up here. So we'll have to see what that happens out of that. Alex.exe bombing in on Habib, getting a good sticky, but not quite the follow-up he wanted. But if he's able to lock him out, which he is not able to, it's not going to really lead to any kills they want, especially with Trip dying on the back lines and people behind on Froyotech creating so much chaos at their own last and in lobby. With so many people drawing back to last to block it, this is not necessarily the fight you want.
Lower, and they didn't spawn it. Ash is too weak. And they did such a good job just eating up that aggression, but one uncounted player 4 is just enough to lose that round.
Yep, they blocked the first back half attempt, and they thought everything was going to be okay, but the second back half attempt they were not ready for, and it slips through them. Bandy goes underneath and collects another round for Froyotech, leading 2-0, so going into the third mid fight here, Mamalu.
Yeah, last times you've just seen a lot of aggression, one soldier going in, and Habib and Alex trading spam on the point. Banny immediately taking the high ground, a double soldier bomb straight in onto Alex, knocking him forward, but 2 picks from Trip and 1 from Zilly, and they have more players. Branson really weak on the point, and Alex also really weak pushing across, and as long as they can get health up, they should be fine. They have a player advantage, and the demo still up. Jay trying to get something happening, but he actually does get the pick onto Ash and lives. A lot of damage, good trade from Brandslam and Alex. Now it's just Banny and Skis, but it is Banny. He can still try and make something happen, but he decides not the best fight. Maybe he'll refight with his spawners at a later date.
Yeah, I think Corsia's kind of figured out what Froyotech's plan A for the Snake Water mids here are, so it's definitely good on them, and they're going to be able to collect their second mid for now, so we'll have to see what Froyotech does in terms of trying to adjust their mid fights to win them in the future. But for now, back to a stalemate scenario, even Ubers, Froyotech holding their own too, and it seems like Corsia's making maybe the same mistake and bringing their entire team lower and leaving their saw open. Trip's going to get really weak and cleaned about Banny. He was able to go behind in saw, and speaking of behind, he's behind Yite too, and they're collecting too. It does not seem that Corsia is able to execute this lower push properly because saw is so weak and keeps getting picks. Eric is going to die, which is a saving grace for them. Blaze is going to go in, get air shot, and not find the damage he needs to onto Zilly. But Froyotech is keeping up the aggression, continuing to pressure forward, and the Uber will finally come out of Zilly, seeing that this is too much for his team to handle. But they're not really able to find a whole lot, and you could even wonder if they're potentially being too aggressive here. Jay bombing in to try to collect the Zilly kill, and he will. The Uber will come out because it's a free Uber to make sure none of the teammates die as they try to collect any more kills that they can see on Saul. Able to get Trip. Habib's trying to block out the people at mid. They're trying to continue to go forward, but he's not able to collect any sort of presence on Catwalk as they try to funnel through and continue to collect Froyotech players on their own side of the map. So what was immediately going to be great for Froyotech out of a mistake from Corsia is not executed the best as it could have been. So overall, it's going to end up in Corsia's favor as they have a lot of picks to work off of if they're quick enough to try to work their way through lower.
Yeah, deja vu. The same exact scenario happened earlier, a little bit different, but Corsia is doing a great job of killing a lot of the aggressors on Froyo. It's just something goes wrong in the end. Jay with the pre-fire bomb gets onto Zilly, and there's nothing you can really do about that. And now Brandslam alone trying to make something happen. Is going to get a trade, but Scout for Soldier, not usually the best not in favor of the Scout at least. And the Corsia flank trying to see if they can get something done, but they can't. And they're just trying to hold mid down. Eric pushing Kitchen and may be able to get onto Alex if they're not ready. And he's going to initiate and buy a lot of room for the rest of his team to get in. Even though he gets picked, he pulls players back. But Banny also getting picked in the kitchen is not great. And Trip catching out Skis is amazing. And once again, the Froyo aggression is not working out right now.
Yeah, it seems like they overstayed their welcome. The reinforcements came in from Corsia, and the execution of their push was just not great. They were able to get a little bit of space, but not quite enough as they needed. So with only 3 people left alive, it seems like this is not going to be exactly what Froyo wants. They have to back up. They're able to collect 1 off of Branson being a little bit aggressive, collect 2 off of a sticky trap, and it seems that despite you can be handed all the cards in the world, but still 1 or 2 players left alive on Froyotech is enough to turn the tides of the battle. So what was immediately going to be a great moment for Corsia has completely flipped, and they have to give up mid for Froyotech as they're able to collect this back. They do have an Uber to work off of, though Corsia does, but just not one that's going to be used in the opponent's last, but rather back in a mid as they work their way towards lower here.
Yeah, they get him pretty clean. Both soldiers still on the high ground, getting a good amount of spam in, but oh my god, in a sticky or a trap onto Zilly, gets the drop, and there are so many weak players on Corsia. It's just not working out, and it was looking great, and then just something disastrous happened again.
Idle and lower, you're gonna eat all the spam in the universe. Bit of a scrappy fights in a bunch of different areas of the map. You got 1 in lower, you got 1 in lobby, but it seems like Alex.exe and Ash and Yite are gonna be the deaths, and no Froyotech members are gonna be dying here, especially because they have buffs and heals to work off of, so that makes sense in the long run. But Froyotech go ahead and work their way into top left off of the picks. They have only 2 people left alive on Corsia as they work their way towards this point. Free Uber coming out to try to collect any kills they can that are showing themselves on the map. They're able to collect 1 and 2 and probably 3 on a Trip eventually. Blaze is gonna jump away to make sure he lives. Reinforcements coming out from Corsia, but they damage themselves so much to get to the point that it's not really what they need in terms of being able to survive for a long period of time and collect these kills. So that is going to be the 3rd round for Froyotech and the halftime.
Yeah, honestly, there were a lot of points I was really impressed how Corsia played, but just a play is made every time it's looking great, and Froyo puts themselves back in the driver's seat. And if you're Corsia, it's promising, but you just have to clean it up a little bit more.
Yeah, I think the only I think both teams are making really good plays in terms of noticing a bad situation and then turning around, but Froyotech are just making more. I will like to say that I hope that Corsia make use of the opportunity they have to notice the patterns in their play. They keep bringing their team lower, and Saw keeps getting dismantled. So I hope they're able to remedy that, because that's something that's proven to be very difficult when it comes to breaking the second stalemate. And the only times they're able to get into pushing into last is if they've rolled through that stalemate from just winning mid. So definitely something that they can try to improve, and I'm sure they're talking about that in their mumble as we speak. But looking at the logs, we see a very big presence coming out of Habib. Definitely showing strong, continuing from his Viaduct match. Top killing in the server and top damaging. So he's a madman. Definitely got to stop him if you want to convert rounds in your favor in this match.
Yeah, but going back to what you were saying, so the 2 times they really pushed Saw, one of the times, yeah, both soldiers just weren't ready. The first time they were, second time it happened, I think Trip was sacking, and then Yite went forward to help with it. But then he saw a scout, ran back to his Saw, but Banny was already in the window, and they just got 2 picks off of that. And they just get caught out in weird times. They're just not prepared. But that probably just comes from not scrimming enough on this map against the team who does this, which is pretty much only Froya, so it's a little bit hard to get ready for it in matches. And now we're getting into the second half. The mids from Corsia have looked pretty good so far. They've done a great job of dealing with the aggression, and Trip has been making plays, at least on that last one, getting 2 picks.
Yep, unless there's tons and tons of early spam damage that comes out of Froyotech to seal this mid, I'm definitely looking at the counter initiation from the flank classes, and maybe even Jay out of the side of Froyotech to be able to win this mid. So far, there's actually, like I said, a decent amount of damage coming out of them. Tons and tons of spam. They might not even need the counter initiation if Alex.exe continues to be this weak. Aggression coming from Corsia, but they're not able to put out the same presence because of their health pool. And without that follow-up, it's not going to be able to be what they need. So it seems like they're going the route of just putting more damage onto the other team to be able to win these mids. Continue flooding out the yard to try to collect kills. They're going to drop Blaze, but losing a scout on Corsia is probably going to seal the deal here for a full team wipe, only losing their soldiers. Definitely a good adaptation to the mid-fight coming out of Froyotech, and they're in a very nice position here to be able to set up for an Uber ride into the opposing last.
Yeah, Trip just not having success on his bomb, and then when the counter aggression came from Froyo, they had no one to really draw a little bit of the pressure off of the side of Corsia, and they just got steamrolled. Now it's one of the biggest ads you'll ever get to push into last, and they're just spotting things out. They're taking their time, getting their spawners, going to start getting their buffs out. And, yep, getting the buffs out, looking towards the actual top right side. They're not going to keep it predictable. They get in very, very clean. No sniper here, and they're going to get in completely free. They pop, trying to get onto this gun. Habib bombing forward. Gets killed by the gun instantly. Combination of him and the gun and Alex. Ash is in. They get a pick on a Jay in the spawn door. Banny trying to get out, but getting focus fired by the side of Corsia, and just insta-giving Habib there was the key and just really saved them there. And this is probably the best opportunity out of a last hold they've had so far, but Froyo's not giving it up entirely free. They're trying to spam a little bit for Eric, and he's just going to get out. 40% ad from Corsia now.
Yep, they've also bought Banny's spawn, so that's definitely a good play out of them, trying to continue spam on too, but definitely a huge execution error in their last push, which is allowing Corsia to be able to go through Saw this time. It seems like they're taking a little bit of a fast pace. Alex.exe bombing in, but hitting his head on the log is not going to find more than just a J kill. Everyone leaving in a timely fashion. We have Blaze going behind. Almost collected a kill on Yite, but he's going to back up, and with one behind him, Blaze, and 2 people going back, I'm sure the Froyotech aggression will continue on here as they're getting ready to try to poke their way into Saw, potentially go out onto mid here, making sure it's not locked down. Blaze still alive somehow, going to finally drop, but the space has already been created despite the round, or the mid fight. The mid being capped by the opposing team. He's out here, 80 health, has Uber to use, and got to make sure he doesn't accidentally drop any important players. Bomb coming in, and that's going to be enough at health, half HP, to be able to use their Uber. Collecting one, but not able to collect too much more, as the rest of Corsia kind of expected an Uber coming out and backing up, but if they can block out this Yite spawn, they can push off the 2-player ad that they have, and it seems like they're already very much forward. Ski's gonna die to a trap, though, by Alex.exe. Was not prepared for a trap to be set in lower, so what was once going to be a smooth train pushing into 2 from Froyotech is completely flip-flopped, and now Zilly and crew are in the driver's seat with the full Uber ad to work their way through Saw.
But now if you're Corsia, you just have to be ready for a flank play. Just be aware of it, play the flanks passive, just get ready for reinforcements, and now they're trying to get through this main saw door. They do find Blaze. They get a bit of damage, and that's going to stuff the play. Great job. Banny actually getting very far forward, trying to make something happen. And great job from Corsia, this time taking it very slow, but now Blaze in again. Trades 1 for 1, but if you're on Corsia, you definitely take that. And they still have Uber to work with here.
Yeah, gonna leave one scout and continue to work their way lower. Jay's a little bit close, gonna back up, trying to steal the health away from. That was actually pretty nice. So these people that are really weak have to stand still and get bows. So nice trap kill from Habib. The hiding spot is not even necessary. There's two people go through this door at the same time, one of them being your demo, and that's not what you want to see. They still have an Uber to work with, but they don't have a whole lot of players to use. They pop, but not able to initiate onto the classes they want. Another air shot onto the soldier. Ash is just getting juggled around, and they're not able to find anything. Counter initiation coming from Eric, speeding his way through kitchen, trying to get onto Zilly to collect the kill, and Zilly just left out in the dark. Flies are being dropped out of the Corsia side, and it seems like Zilly will eventually die here in kitchen to Banny, and that will overall be not a successful play. They do have a bit of a back cap going on. It seems like no one is actually able to stop it up until now. Jay trying to take the 1v1 as fast as he can, but actually they kind of just sold up for the back cap, so despite Zilly and crew just completely wiping except Yite, it's going to work out, especially because Habib overstays his welcome and dies to Brand Slam, so with no demo, it's going to be kind of rough to use this Uber ad back in the mid here.
And they're going to be pushing Blaze and low. They get Banny as well, who gets dropped on that Uber. No scout there just yet. And Jay's getting caught in Saw, and they're doing a great job as a team, just picking off players one by one. Eric weak and lower, but gets the pick onto Alex. Brand Slam in and gets the forced. It is going to probably end up getting out on the backside of Blaze. Gets the pick, and just great job from Corsia as a team, just finding the players not near the Uber and getting picks, and they're just completely transitioning this. And now Banny is on a surprise sniper. Another trap kill. Once they start getting rolling in a good pipe, almost two, and Eric commits through cheese. Headshot from Banny onto Ash. And once again, just plays are being made. And now it's just Alex, the spawner, going to be trying to make something happen here.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth, but I don't think after all this, Alex can do much except put a sticky trap on mid and pray. He is spotted and Saw. They kind of know he could be watching something. Blaze is going to try to put some extra damage on him, but he's already a bit too far out, so not a whole lot he can do. They do notice that he was leaving Saw, though, so if they want to use this ad, especially if they have a sniper, I wouldn't be too surprised to see them try to walk through lower.
Yeah, but huge Uber ad from Froyo. Yep, taking it lower. Banny's slow peeking. If anyone's looking, they're going to get picked, and there's the body shot into Brand Slam, and it looks like Corsia is probably going to have to give this up. Only Ash here trying to find something, but he should be able to get out unless... Oh, he's getting juggled up in the air. Air shot doesn't connect. He's going to slip out, but now still 40% ad. Although you're down a scout, they should be able to push through. They get in through the shutter, popping. Zilly pretty far back. Everyone's committing into the spawn. Catches out Alex in the spawn door. Alex actually ends up trading with Habib. Great play. They get onto Jay. Ash with a lot of damage onto Skis, and they get the pick in the end. It's just Blaze really in trying to make something happen. Blaze, Eric, and Banny left to try and salvage the situation. That didn't go great, and Eric snuck through lower. He's on the point. There should be players for it. But Banny's still on the sniper roll in the window.
Yeah, that should have been so good. There was no gun. They could chase down any kill they wanted, but dropping Habib there is definitely going to throw a wrench in their plans. They do have the Bandy sniper. He's able to put up some pressure, dropping Brand Slam to 7 HP, going to clean him up after previously getting a headshot earlier. So with these two picks, they definitely have reason to continue to try to work their way in. It's kind of an awkward angle coming in from Saw, especially when they have an Uber to sad to worry about. They're losing their sniper, losing their demo, and Skis is going to be alone, spare his scout inside Saw. A back cap attempt coming from Jay, but it seems like the cap is going to go off, and overall, this is not going to be too good until Eric is able to collect 2-3 kills. Surprising and not surprising at the same time, seeing that happen out of Eric. And he's going to continue to flip the script and continue this back cap. Will he collect 4? A lot of damage on the opposing team, but it just creates enough of a distraction for Jay to help collect these kills instead. Now Jay is getting his little bit of a kill streak here. And it seems like, despite the mishaps that they had, Froyotech still showing out strong here, collecting this cap. Ash, you know, not without Ash trying to...
Oh, he's not. But great job from Ash salvaging. Great job from Eric and G, I think, getting 5 picks in total, but Ash behind getting Skis, getting Habib, and now Yite getting his revenge onto Eric. And now they're going to be able to try and fight this point. Another pick on the Banny, a bit of damage on Jay, and he just barely connects the last rocket. Juggled in the air, almost gets the spoon, not quite enough, and they actually translate it into their advantage. They're going to get second back, and it's about even Ubers.
Yep, seems like the plays are going to slow down for a little bit. Every single little piece of like missing information or bad holding that a team throws at you, the other one's definitely taking advantage of. But for now, we're back to, you know, a little bit of a stalemate scenario. What would have been, you know, Corsia holding mid is them holding their own too, so they don't have to worry about trying to hold Saw, trying to work through lower this time, because now it's Froyotech's turn to show how to break the stalemate. So all I got to do is spot a little bit and try to figure out where Zilly is holding. It's actually more oriented towards the point, not necessarily close to Saw, but I'm sure that Froyotech will be able to swap out and try to figure out what the best route is to go for this force. No off classes yet, you know, trying to put a little bit of pressure onto the flank, and it seems like Blaze is in Saw. He might try to go through a skip through window or something, but we'll have to see. And they're working their way towards lower. Have a beep down there too for extra pressure, and it seems like Blaze is going to begin his jump, but not quite what he wanted. Didn't seem like it's going to be executed quite yet.
They're just taking their time, trying to find a good sack. Blaze rotating lower to get the buff. Eric still by Saw, and yep, he's going back towards the Saw room, looking to try and maybe two-man with Eric. Goes through the window, committing on the flank on top of Ash, gets the pick, and good trade from Trip. Jay in, not going to get the spoon, and now it's just Blaze caught behind. They could turn this into 3 picks, which they do. Great job from Corsia, and Trip is also behind, trying to buy some time. Great rockets on the Banny, not going to end up in anything, but gets the force, and great job from Trip getting those rockets and getting the force. Brand Slam is still in, and they don't get forced. Alex getting the sticky onto Banny.
A very nice play coming out from Trip, very fast-paced to continue to apply the pressure all the way behind, buying his team enough time to work the way to force skis over and only necessarily lose one. So good play
Eric
from
the box
them.
again.
Oh no, they didn't know about it last time.
Alex
He wasn't
sees it.
needed, but they were able to check it this time. You kind of expected coming out of Eric. You kind of expect at a certain point that he's going to try to pull some cheese plays. So definitely good idea to be a little bit paranoid and keep your guard up. So this play's not going to work out, and of course, you still have this ad to work with. It seems like they might zoom through lower immediately, Uber out, and Blaze is going to show up at the wrong time, eat a lot of damage. The demo MGE happening, except one is Uber, which is not going to end up in Habib's favor. His 2-drop. Gun's still alive, but it probably shouldn't take too much longer for it to get spammed on. It does die. It is level 1 on a double cap on the point. It does not seem like things are going to go too well in Froyotech's favor this time, as Corsia picks up their first round of the match.
Alex is playing absolutely amazing. He decides that gun is not a threat and just targets Habib at the right spawn, and getting that demo pick on a last push is so important. And so far, last mid didn't look too great, but in the past they have, and I'm assuming Trip's probably going to mix it up a little bit. I think he just bombed straight into them maybe on accident, but didn't end up too great. And now everyone...
The damage flipped a little bit this time too. Before, Froyotech pushed off with just the sheer amount of presence they had on the map, but now they're a little bit damaged themselves, except Brand Slam is going to be taking some damage, a little bit weak. Jay trying to jump in and see if he can collect any kills, but it doesn't really have a whole lot of follow-up. It does not seem like they're able to apply the aggression they necessarily wanted to, and it seems like Froyotech's mid-victories are solely based on the idea of them applying a lot of early damage, and when that doesn't happen, it doesn't seem like the mid's necessarily going their way, Marmaloo.
Yeah, just getting these picks after the mid's just going to make it harder and harder to try and keep continuing. And Yike committing into lower, just not a great fight to take against a full health soldier in lower, trying to get the trade off of Trip's damage initially. But Banny rolling in, but so much damage from Alex. And oh, Habib with the sticky onto Ash, and Corsia's going to have to end up leaving here. Just Alex and Zilly, Jay trying to get a spoon out. And now Blaze and Banny in transition, getting the force off. Jay behind, just drawing eyes, trying to pull this Uber back. And they're going to sack at least one soldier. Jay, half HP, caught. They're going to trade 2 soldiers for the Uber force, which is pretty good. And Trip is in, almost getting the force on the skis, but just not enough damage.
Yeah, they have the players, but with Trip dead there, it might be a little bit rough. They have to be careful they're not actually run into an Uber, and it seems like that is what's going to be happening. Brand Slam is going to fall as Banny continues to try to chase on Zilly. I think Zilly has mostly met his fate and is going to die. Alex Dykesy falling in as well. Ash is going to try to go for the salvage play, getting skis really low. Jade's going to find Eric instead of skis, though, so it's not ultimately what they wanted, but at least it's better than nothing. So overall, the play coming from Corsia, trying to do a last-ditch effort move to get the force, was not successful, and it ends up with most of their team wiping. Trip trying to stuff the doors as best he can to try to buy time for his team, but he's only one person. He can't stop 5 people from running through. Blaze teasing the cap a little bit, trying to put pressure onto it, same with Jay, but it does not seem like the pace at which Froyo is playing is necessarily very fast. I think they're very much willing to, play off the ad they have if nothing is very free. So I think they're ultimately deciding to go ahead and back up to here and use the ad instead to push into the last. But 2 people down, it might be a little bit rough for them, as now Corsia's in a good spot to maybe force them.
Great job from everyone, and Ash is in trying to get on a beat. A nice rocket, not enough, but Trip comes in getting Jay down, and now the Uber is up from Skis and they opt to pop it. It's really just Habib here because Blaze is behind, trying to get a back cap. Danny not quite there yet. Blaze gets picked off, and now huge Uber ad from Corsia. Trip is actually behind. Saw one rocket onto Skis, 2, and just a great play in transition again. But Habib with pipes onto Alex, and he's pushing Africa. He's getting chased by Habib, but Bandy is here to help with the 2v1, and now it's just Zilly alone with 90%. Not quite enough, and there's just not players here really. But Brand Slam wins his 1v1. It's just Habib, but Banny and Eric are on to last in another back cap.
It seems like these first back-cap attempts from Froyotech are not working out, but the fact that so much chaos is created in the attempt of getting back from your last 2, the second back-cap attempt is actually working out. So starting to see a pattern here in terms of the Froyotech strategy when it comes to scrappy fights. So we'll have to see if that pattern continues, but for now we're on to our next mid-fight of the match.
Yeah, and it looks like both teams passive right now. Blaze looking like he's ready to bomb, jumps in very fast onto Zilly. Zilly, I think, ate a Piper, a good sticky across the map, just in a very bad spot. Nice air shot from Ash onto Jay, but Blaze is behind. Zilly going for the pack, gets caught out. Now it's a 4v4, but Froyo has the heals to play around. Soldier in, drawing the eyes, doing a great job, but not enough damage onto the players, and the 2 scouts of Froyo clean them up. Rocket from Blaze onto Yite should be enough to clean up Yite there.
A lot of early damage on Zilly is going to collect that frag relatively quickly, so if you just hold S and use your heal advantage, that makes this later end of the fight not too difficult if no one's behind. So good job out of Froyotech at the end there, recognizing the advantage they had and keeping the pressure on and making sure that everyone was buffed and Skis was safe. So off of that good play from them near the later half of the mid-fight, they have an Uber ad to work with once again to try to break in the last. Sniper and Engineer coming out from Corsia. Gun changing positions a little bit every now and then, but for the most part this has been their standard when it comes to pushing last, so we'll have to see what Froyotech does, as it looks like they're pushing Shutter this time.
Yep, taking it slow, 40% ad from them. They do have a sniper this time on the side of Corsia, and Froyo just making sure everyone's buffed, giving themselves the best shot at a post-duper. They get through the Shutter door, Habib bombing it instantly, trying to get onto Zilly, getting skyboxed by the gun. Zilly's doing a good job of moving, surfs on the shed. He's gonna end up living, and they get Habib down when he tried to go for that play. Jay in with a lot of damage, but with everyone juggled up, they're getting on the point. Yite the only one left to stop it, and Alex with the pipe, and now it's just Zilly getting cleaned up by Eric, and 2 HP left. Great job from Eric with the salvage, recognizing they're not winning the fight and getting onto the alone Zilly there.
I feel like I can just hear in the back of my head Vanny yelling at Habib why he keeps dying in every single Uber, because it feels like Habib is just dying in every single last push before the Uber's even over. I don't know if he's not on the same page as Skis, or if she's trying to bite up more than he can chew, but regardless, right now we have JN on X.exe in the Bats area, finally able to collect the kill, and Yite as well as that only able to expend one of their own, so with this good presence they have over the second point, it seems like this is going to be a reconversion for Froyotech. Bit even, but they do have a pick to work off of, and one of them is a demo, so it makes sense they're trying to poke their way into left right now, as that's definitely a whole lot to work off of. Habib trying to stick at the top of the tower, but it's not where any of the soldiers land, and they're all able to collect Blaze, so I think they realize that, you know, the respawners coming from Corsia is not going to be too favorable for them, so they're backing up and setting up on 2.
Yeah, but Corsia down 4-1 on their own last with 13 minutes is... You kind of got to start doing something. Even though you're at a disadvantage, you are forced to do something. 10 minutes left on the clock. Yite on the sniper, and they're going to be trying to make a play happen here.
Yep, ball's in your court and not in your court at the exact same time. You're on your own last, you kind of want to wait for the other team to do something, but they might just not because of how much of a lead they have. Although it is Froyotech, I'm sure they're going to, you know, take any little advantage they have, and recognizing they're back on the Engineer Sniper combo, they might try to do something over on the other half of the map where the flank's a little bit weaker. Gotta spam another gun though, but it might be difficult with the sniper presence. For now, they're just trying to stay centralized in the middle of the lobby and make sure they're buffed up as possible for whatever play they're about to do. Jay trying to make some space, trying to spam this sniper, is gonna get juggled up a little bit, but nothing that seriously threatens his life. I'm trying to peek lower and try to spam the gun the best they can, but it's not without Blaze giving his life for it, and the gun actually doesn't even die, gets healed up, staying at level 2. So it's gonna be an unsuccessful attempt at breaking the last. Gonna go ahead and do a counter sack from Trip into lobby, not gonna find too much. Jay's a little bit weak, but not a whole lot of extra pressure coming out because they do have so many off classes after all. But pressure stays on despite, you know, the counter sack coming in and people getting weak. Ski is safely standing on the bats, making sure he's not in any sightline while his team is trying to apply pressure the best they can. But they got their players up now, so time for round number 2 at trying to get any picks. But as I say that, Blaze once again getting picked, this time from the sniper. It seems like there's gonna be a bit of a time used before Froyotech's able to break this last hold.
Yeah, nice rock from Trip on the skis. Oh, is he gonna recommit? Jay's just on the door. That was almost really good, but now a great headshot onto Habib, but there's a couple players in lower trying to do something, but they do end up getting out. And now they're gonna keep trying to peek and peek, get some picks for Yite, but Yite is already half HP as Blaze is in. Doesn't really get that much, but the follow-up from the rest of his team getting down Brand Slam, and the sniper caught out in the lobby gets picked as well. It's gonna be 4 players up now. A couple people that are half HP from Froyo, so it's a little bit rough to try and do something. A sticky onto Banny, and it's going to stop the aggression. Jay with a lot of damage onto him. Eric peeking the gun as well, gets picked off.
The gun is so incredibly low. No engineer up until now
It's
to be
like
able to heal it.
one.
Yeah, they definitely tried to sell out for that gun, and it did not work in their favor. So it seems like things are going to even out a little bit, at the very least. They put all their eggs in one basket and didn't really work out. So back to square one, except actually it's going to be slightly different. We have Eric on sniper this time. They can go ahead and take this as slow as they want because they're in the driver's seat after all in terms of the rounds on the map and the rounds on the board, so makes sense. Eric's finally arriving, gonna probably get his buff and see if he can try to... Actually, there's not even any counter sniping to do because the sniper from Corsia has been removed. It is just the engineer, so Eric might get a couple free shots here before he has to worry about SBSing.
Yeah, that gun is just... It's so hard to deal with. Because as soon as you start spamming it, someone's there to help, and now Eric... I don't know if they know. He's in drop down, trying to get a shot into Alex. And if he just peeks up a little bit more, he'll be able to see him because Alex is right there. And, oh, good pipe and good recognition from Alex, saving himself from the sniper. And now Yite is back on that counter sniper, getting ready for that shutter peek, but they're not going to end up doing it. He's going to rotate back towards the top right area. And he sees that Jay is right there. I don't know if Jay knows of it. And he does. Eric now peeking that shutter angle. Gets dealt with by Trip, who's very, very weak. The gun is also very, very weak because Brand Slam opts to just say, I don't need a gun, I'll just kill you, and gets blazed down. But traded out by Habib, and Habib really weak on the bats getting juggled, but Trip also very weak, and it's kind of just evening out the health back and forth, but a pipe onto skis. Trip messing up his jump twice and just can't get on the med. But Ash is in now, hits a direct, and gets the force, and decides off of the distraction caused by Trip, he's going to go commit forward. And he's going to pull a couple players back, but now there are no soldiers up at the last point. It's just Ash who's all the way behind, and Trip who's going to be spawning, and this is going to be prime back cap area. The plus is that now Ash is going to have a decent opportunity to try and catch skis out.
I think Blaze is AFK too, so this is going to be extra difficult for them as they try to use this Uberad out into last, or try to defend against this Uberad out in the last. As they're down more than just the scoreboard shows right now. I'm not sure if they recognize that he's just sitting in spawn, but the Uber is going to come out. Ski is dropping very, very low, 14 HP, but Alex.EC getting juggled up in the air is not going to be able to put out any extra damage onto Skis. Skis will eventually die from a nice flank from Ash, though, able to collect 2, so that's going to definitely be good for them, despite the initial play not working out so well. So overall, Blaze back now. I'm not sure what he was dealing with, but he's here now at the very least. Yeah, sniper presence in lower, gonna get cleaned up. Try to work off the distraction, Jay, as he's trying to put damage on the Brand Slam, but is not really gonna find anything. So with 2 very late Froyotech deaths, that is not gonna bode well for them holding mid. It appears they're gonna forfeit it and go ahead and go for a hold more so on their own too.
Yeah, Habib with the stickies in his own lower, and yeah, just decent 40% Uberad. Eric on the sniper. Oh, nope, he switched off, but now they're gonna, of course, he's gonna walk through the saw pretty free. And yeah, everyone on Froyo is kind of backing up here. Eric can buy that cheese, trying to get a bit of pressure out. But both soldiers in, and they kind of leave cheese open. Eric's going to be able to get onto Zilly, but he kind of has to wrap around. Gets onto Yite, wins the 1v1, but Trip lands on his head, gets the traded frag, and that's 3 players down from Froyo. Uber not quite there, and if they choose the right door that Habib's not at, it's going to be completely free, and they do. Sticks on the shed, may catch out Brand Slam or Alex, and he does get Alex. Brand Slam immediately baiting the point, getting Habib forward. Trip with a lot of damage with the escape plan out, and they just end up capping it straight up. And now it's 4-2. They need to convert on this mid if they want to have a really good shot in this game.
Yep, Froyotech still have 4 rounds here, so they only need 1 to win. They can, afford to give up 2 more, and they still are within inches away from winning this match. So being consistent on these mids is definitely very important to try to figure out where on the map will actually start post mid fight. We have Alex getting really aggressive, actually getting the announcer to announce that someone's on the mid. That level of aggression is we do have Jay duck in the kitchen. We haven't seen a whole lot of kitchen presence, at least too much for the beginning of most of these mids, but the initiation is finally coming out of the blue soldiers as able to collect a lot of kills on the red team, and a nice air shot on the ski is going to be able to collect the medic. Froyotech doing the best they can to try to work their way onto Zilly, but the rest of the blue team is trying to back up and make sure that they can keep their medic alive. Alex, you can see the farthest one forward though. Nice shots onto Blaze, preventing him from dying. They are going to drop the dome man, but as long as Zilly stays alive, this should be relatively successful, and they are at that. Zilly will stay alive for this mid, and they will have their Uber ad to work with into the opposing 2/last, however fast/slow they decide to take this next push.
Yeah, banning on Sniper, but that double soldier bomb from Corsia worked out really well. Ash didn't get much in the beginning, but hits a direct on Banny, and Trip follows up with one on another direct, and then an air shot onto skis, and all Corsia have to do after that is play heals, and they realize there's a sniper, and they instantly rotate Saw. Blaze trying to get someone caught out, and gets picked off. Ash immediately forward, a little bit too far forward alone, gets picked off by Eric, but the entirety of Corsia follows up, getting the trade.
Yep, good presence out of Corsia, making sure that despite dropping one, they're able to collect two more, and they're still working their way here. They're working straight through lower, able to collect Banny, and also probably collecting skis. Alex will. Jay trying to jump in and see if he can get the demo. He's still unflashed, but he's going to be unsuccessful. With 3 people dropping that Uber does not look great for Froyotech. Just Habib and Blaze alive, and it is not enough against a full squad of Corsia. So things are starting to change a little bit. Maybe Froyotech's running out of steam, or maybe Corsia just finally figured them out in terms of the mid fights, because things are not looking too great for them, but still, could be anyone's game. Mid fights are definitely going to be an important part of it, so we'll have to see what Froyotech does to start re-winning these mids once again.
Yeah, and Trip has been the key to these mids so far, and it looks like everyone's at their standard midpoint. Blaze in a position on the high ground, and everyone's kind of just waiting for the other team to bite. Zilly eating a little bit of spam. Trip trying to get in the other team's kitchen, which he does, and he's going to instantly rush through, gets behind. Blaze pretty weak. Trip in the lower, jumps in onto Habib, gets the pick, and they trade 2 for 2, but Habib being down is massive. Alex is on the point, trying to hit some pipes, but a lot of damage from Jay. They need to get the trade on Eric, and they do. And a great mid win. It's just Banny and skis, and Banny's gonna have to leave here.
Yep. Not an overwhelming victory, but at the end of the day, you have your Uber, you have the midpoint. I think you're okay with this if you're Corsia, especially because, you know, actually, maybe not you're okay. I just realized there's 4 minutes left and they have to convert at least 1 round, which at the pace this match has been overall playing, it's not too surprised to see an Uber exchange come out, because you definitely have to play this fast pace to make sure at least something happens. Not a whole lot of people showing themselves at the post Uber is about to go off, but I'm sure that will eventually change. We have red soldiers bombing in forms of Jay, trying to get a rocket off on the eye. Will not succeed and will actually die himself. Counter initiation coming from the blue team, trying to collect themselves over onto the below cheese area over the flank. Zilly is going to die to a bomb though, so that's going to be unfortunate for them, but they do have more players alive, so they have a presence here to cap this, but not without Froyotech being in an okay position to be able to maybe eventually poke around with heals, or maybe an eventual advantage push that will go their way.
Yeah, Blaze with a big salvage there. And Habib, before that, the Uber, he kind of walked over 3 stickies and just got away with it. But now Froyo with this huge Uber ad, they don't have to do anything. All Eric's doing, making sure there's nothing funny, no funny business, no off classes. And Froyo just have to sit here for 3 minutes, and it's going to end up being an even Uber situation. No crits on the side of Corsia. And now breaking a full Uber ad stalemate is really hard, much less with a 2.5 minute time constraint by the time they get Uber.
Yeah, Jay's on the banner too, so they're in full. They're putting all their eggs in the park bus
The
basket.
emergency brakes are on.
Yeah, soldier initiation coming in onto skis, and the surf is missed. Skis just barely popped up into the air. I'm sure they did not expect that, so Uber forced from Froyotech, and this is exactly what Corsia need to be able to continue to work their way and get the last round. They need to end this in a tie game to go into overtime. So they're just gonna go ahead and wait for the people to spawn. Nothing crazy. Froyotech is staying on their engineer and their sniper, so we'll have to see what Corsia does with this last push. No spotting done quite yet, because they were down some people, so I'm kind of afraid for them in terms of them getting information, but they might not need it at the end of the day. We'll have to end up seeing which direction they choose to go.
Trip with the off-timing bomb, but huge Uber ad, and this is the best opportunity. This is the final shot, the game-tying shot. They're gonna go through this shutter, popping the Uber. The gun is very, very close to deal with, and now Brandslam has the opportunity to play point, but he opts to not. They're going to commit straight into the other team's spawn. Yite on the cap gets dealt with by Habib, and Habib getting 2-3 picks and just a great hold, but it is not over yet. Getting that skis pick definitely keeps them in this game, especially because he has such a late spawn. They can try and fight this 4v5, but they have heals, and it's definitely not over yet.
The unfortunate truth, it's very, very telling that what Corsia has to do here is dry, so Habib already has 4 more traps ready for it. Bet they didn't expect the door, though. Seems like it's going to be Saw this time, and Jay's going to actually get really weak, not being able to be healed. Has to jump back. Corsia is going to take some damage himself. They're going to go ahead and drop out a window to try to drive push this. Not sure if Froyotech's going to take it, but it looks like they might actually. Jay's trying to jump in and apply some damage, but is immediately going to get cleaned up and not necessarily find the kills that he wanted to. A lot of good damage onto Froyotech, and it seems like the trip bomb is going to be enough damage and space for their team to overall win this second point. 1 minute left on the clock, only Habib left alive. They just got to leave one and continue to go to last. So we'll have to see if Habib is able to apply any pressure to slow them down. He has some stickies, soldier bombing in from Jay, but it does not seem like it is going to be enough, and that is going to be a tie game. With 51 seconds left, you got a mid-fight, but you probably don't have a last, so it looks like we're probably going to be going to overtime here for the first matches. I think we've kind of officially entered garbage time.
Yeah. Corsia coming back from down 3-0 in the first half. Absolutely insane, and they caught fire at the end of that second half there. They were down, I think, was it 4-1 or 4-2? 4-1, I think, with 15 minutes left, and this is, yes, garbage time, like you said, and it looks like Froyo's going to win this mid, and if they get this cap, it's one for the stat sheet, but it's not going to mean much, and you don't see Froyo dropping leads like that usually, and that was just great team play and great individual heroics from Trip there.
Yeah, I want to probably put the focus, at least from my perspective, on a lot of the mids, because I think even though there's multiple things that factor into how well you do, if you're not good at mid fights and able to win them consistently against a particular team, you will not start on your own half the map. So if you slip up, that's a round conversion. That's kind of what we saw for a decent chunk of this game, which allowed Corsia to get back. You know, Froyotech was having a hard time winning the mids unless their initial presence put tons and tons of damage onto Corsia. But if the damage was a little bit even, things usually didn't really go their way.
Yeah, and for those who don't know how the golden cap works, it is whoever gets the round first. No time limit. It just goes whoever gets the first round wins the game, and it's all or nothing. It's tied at 4-4 right now, and this is the last mid you got. You gotta pull out all the stops, all the hidden strats you have. You gotta use them now.
Yep. Definitely down to the wire, 4-4. Gonna take as much time as you need. I mean, maybe not actually, because both these teams have another match after this, because this is a triple header. This is the second match out of 3. So on one hand, you know, you want to make sure you take time to win this match, but on the other hand, you want to make sure that you get these matches over with so you can go to sleep. But it's definitely going to be pretty gruesome for the team that loses this 5-4 match and has to go into another one right off the bat. So that's gonna, you know, it might not be crazy bad for them, but it's going to definitely test their mental fortitude a little bit.
Yeah, just Alex, Brand Slam, everyone on Corsia just played lights out at the second half there. And if you're Froyo, you're probably you've been in this situation, maybe not this one, but in so many situations. But you definitely are probably feeling a little bit nervous, especially with that comeback coming. But Banny's probably trying to calm down the troops, and Corsia's definitely feeling it right now. And they may come out with a crazy mid.
Yeah, I'd say right now, like, based off what we've seen right now out of the performance from both the teams, I'd actually flip the script and say that Corsia are the favorites for, like, winning this golden cap just based off of their most recent performance. And it's on Froyotech to try to, like, try to adapt the best they can to what they've seen during the last half and apply it by talking about it during the halftime. Probably, I would imagine they're going to maybe mix up some things with their mid-fights. Their last pushes are a little bit inconsistent too, with Habib dying, like, before the Uber's even off. So I'm sure they're probably going to have Habib play in a slightly different way if they're able to get a last push happening here. So I think that's the main things that I'm looking at in terms of Froyotech for them to win this golden cap. But what do you think that Corsia needs to do to maintain the focus and continuing on for them to take this one, Marmalou?
I think the thing is, I wouldn't be surprised to see if Froyo just completely dial it back and just play very passive and just try and deal with Trip, because they know he's been coming every mid, either through Kitchen or just jumping straight in with Ash. And I wouldn't be surprised to see if Blaze just went up behind alone and just baited in the aggression from Corsia, and they just try and pick off these soldiers before the rest of Corsia can aggress.
I wouldn't be too surprised. Trip's definitely doing a lot of work this game, so they definitely have to enable him to continue to doing what he's doing. And if things change too much, things might not necessarily go in their way. So I guess that's another thing. You gotta kind of make sure you don't get in your own head about like if things are going great now. You question: do you change them out of preparation that the other team's gonna change stuff too, or if it's not broken, do you not fix it? So that's gonna be a mentality thing that Corsia players are going to have to think about and decide what is the best option for them. But at the end of the day, I still want to go back to the mid-fight. Speaking of mid-fights, we're readying up right now, so we're about to see it. I really think it could hinge a lot on this. If whoever comes out here just has a really clean mid-fight and changes stuff up, or at least plays very, very dominantly, then all it takes is one last push, obviously, and that's it. That's the match. So we'll have to see what happens here as we go into the overtime mid-fight, Marmalou.
Yep, both teams looking like their standard mids. Blaze on that top left side from the other team's perspective, eating a little bit of spam. Trip getting forward on the high ground, not really committing. No one wants to commit yet. It is the Golden Cat mid. Everyone's kind of waiting for their time. Blaze taking the high ground, trying to get some spam onto Yite. Trip immediately trying to get into the other team's kitchen, gets a lot of damage onto Jay, but they were ready for it. Alex getting caught on the point. A lot of damage onto Eric, but it's not enough, and just they were ready. I told you, they were waiting for Trip to do something, and the kitchen bomb just didn't work. He's done it too many times before, but the silver lining is that Zilly did live on mid, so they're going to have an opportunity to hold last here with the Uber at least.
You gotta get your players up, of course, but it should be fine because Froyotech still has to cap mid. Jay trying to see if he can poke around and spam any snipers or gun, but there aren't any yet. Corsia have not necessarily gone onto tons of AUK classes. They're finally doing it now as they have all their players live and getting ready to set up. So we'll have to see how long it takes for Froyotech to try to attempt something. They have as long as they need to. I mean, I guess technically not. There's 10 minutes until the round ends and you have to go back to another mid-fight. But they got a decent amount of time to work with in terms of spotting for information. They do see the sniper. I'm sure they'll eventually hear the gun. I think Blaze is close enough in drop down to probably hear the beeping of the gun. So they probably kind of recognize that this is the same thing that they've been seeing for the past, 30 minutes here in terms of Corsia holding last. But Ash not seeing the two stickies right below his feet just grants a free kill, and Yite not expecting his soldier to go down so quickly is going to fall as well. So a lot of chaos happening right off the bat. Two scouts falling on from the Froyotech side to get those kills though, which is not what they want when a free kill is planted right into your hands. So very unfortunate for both sides, but it seems like things are going to even out a little bit, and we're going to go for try number 2 in terms of breaking this stalemate.
Yeah, Trip, great bomb. Him and Brandslam combined to try and even out the situation, and now with all the time in the world, Eric is going to be on the sniper, and it's going to be all on this SVS right now. Unless one of these soldiers on Fro, you want to try and make something happen. But the SVS is going to be the main part of this, and both snipers missing their first shots. And, just taking their time, getting Eric in a comfortable position, getting the buffs out. And they're taking their good old time, finally getting in the lobby. Eric going towards that shutter. And if Zilly is in the spot, the infamous drop angle when the sniper peeks the shutter, but Banny getting picked off by a trap. Eric peeking the shutter, hitting Trip, taking the bullet for his med. Blaze trying to peek lower for his to try and get on the sniper, but getting that kill on Trip isn't the biggest, but it's definitely a big play. They're trying to peek this top right with Eric. Eric getting a direct and just barely getting out there.
It seems like as soon as one team is granted an opportunity to do something, it's shoinked away from them by a successful counter-attack of some sort, so, or at least some sort of extra pick. So things are staying a little bit of slow pace in terms of the overall way the game has turned out in terms of breaking this last hole, but not without trying. A lot of kills going back and forth. You just got to make sure that you get the kill and it's either good enough to go off of or get the kill and nothing else happens. But speaking of kills that are good enough to go off of, even if someone died, it wouldn't be a big deal because that's a demo man pick. I'm sure they're okay with Banny dying because no demo means a lot of space in your team, no traps. They're trying to work their way in the best they can and getting a soldier on the point. With so many people on Corsia so far back, it's going to be really rough for them, and they eventually have to force the Uber to make sure that the cap doesn't go the way of Froyotech. So overall, very successful, all banked off of the demo man kill early on. Corsia doing the best they can to try to work their way forward and see if they can get a force onto skis before the players get alive. But with a sniper existing out in grass, not really going to be too easy for them, and they think they realize that and go ahead and go for a last hold. This time bringing out the heavy, no sniper this time, so we'll have to see if it really works. Froyotech has a sniper. We're not sure if heavy is the best thing to bring out here, but nonetheless, that's the route they've chosen, so we'll have to see how it goes.
Problem is the cap time. They can't kite very far back. They just have to be so close to the cap, and these soldiers got to be on top of it. 50% ad now. Froyo getting buffed. About to come through the shutter, and they do pop in. Heavy Inji, like you did say, they're getting forward. They're trying to knock 6 off point. They're trying to play the cap as soon as possible. Trip on top of it. Trip and Ash with so much damage. The Heavy on point trying to deal with these soldiers, but it's gonna be a 4v3, but there still is a sniper and a headshot. And now it's just Brand Slam versus 3, and ice in Froyo's veins, getting the win there.
Yep, definitely turned things around at the very end. What would have been a very nice comeback from Corsia if they took that. That would have been, what, 4 rounds in a row? So almost a complete reverse sweep, but didn't quite go the way they wanted to, and Froyotech end up proving victorious and being the better team at adapting to the tons and tons of plays that we saw happen nonstop throughout this entire match. I hope that Villa shows the same thing, as this is not quite over. We do have another match to go through with both teams, so the break this time afterwards isn't going to be too strenuous because we're not filing any other new teams in here. But nonetheless, it's one for Froyotech. We'll have to see how the next map goes.
Yeah, and this is actually Corsia's map pick. I'm pretty sure, if I didn't read it wrong, Corsia picked Villa, which I really would never expect. And I don't know how many times they've played it. I know Froyo looked phenomenal last season on it. I don't know if that was just Ascent not being too comfortable on it, but this time, last season, but this time around, Corsia picking this is a big shocker. And if you haven't seen this too much, it's because it hasn't really been played that often, but it is Villa, a new map added a couple seasons ago.
Yep. Froyotech, they've been putting some focus into Villa, although I would say that from watching some of their games, some of their mid fights are not necessarily consistent, but that makes sense. It's a new map. It's rough to feel really confident on a map when you haven't played it for years and years. Like all the other maps in the pool, all these players are probably much more familiar with a map like Snakewater than they are with Villa in terms of developing certain strategies or knowing exactly where they need to be in different situations with their class. So kind of makes sense we haven't seen a whole lot of it. So I guess a lot of this match is going to be on who came better prepared in terms of the mid fights, the last holds, and everything. Who put in their extra homework, because this isn't the map you just pug your way to victory on. You definitely have to put in the extra effort as a team to get good at it.
And there have been a few updates to this map. They made it so pushing choke isn't as good because there's a lot of high ground you have to deal with. Even though it gives you cover, you're just at the low ground a lot of times if you try and walk through. And there's been a few changes. Just haven't really seen this map that much, to be honest. So I'm not too familiar, to be honest.
Yep. But at the end of the day, as long as we're able to call out what the different areas of the map are, we're doing our job. Definitely much more of a focus on the teams in the server knowing what they need to do at certain times. And honestly, who knows what's going to happen for this match, because I really don't know the level of preparedness that Corsia is showing. I mean, hopefully at least some, because like you said, they chose it. But if it's going to be enough to flip the script and make the match go in their favor, unlike the map we just saw, then who knows. But I mean, they're pretty close on Snakewater. If this is their map pick and they think they're prepared, maybe they can take this one this time.
Yeah, but looking at the logs from last game, I just want to point out Brand Slam 52, Habib 49. I said Brand Slam was the key. He almost pulled it out, but Trip was a big surprise, and you gotta hope you see repeat performances from those two if Corsia wants a good shot in this game.
Definitely, consistency is key, and that's something to definitely think about outside of just normal TF2 stuff. This is the third match for Froyotech in a row. You have to wonder how much fatigue actually comes into play after playing for so long. So most of the time you can prepare for it for the most part, but it's still something to keep in the back of your head. So making sure they're able to consistently put out the stats and the damage and the plays that you need for your team is going to maybe factor in. We'll have to wait and see, but it might not be too much if one team is very much better at the other than the other team at the map. You don't have to worry about a match lasting forever, so only time will tell in that regard.
Yeah, but I don't know how much confidence I have in. They must have confidence themselves, but I do not have much confidence in Corsia on this map. Just seeing the last time I saw Froyo play this, they looked absolutely phenomenal. And I think Corsia scrimmed this a couple times, but there must be either they have a thought of let's not play them on some normal map where they're used to. Let's take them to something a bit weird, bit strange, and trying to even the playing fields with the experience.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is for them is if they're able to do what they did in the last match and just be really, really good at mids, then there's a lot of the map and situations on different parts of the map that might not necessarily come into play during the match. So, for example, you don't have to worry about dealing with second if you just so good at mids that it's consistently mid fights and then last pushes. So, one thing to think about, if they're able to get their mid fights pretty well suited, then they'll have less to worry about in terms of prep. Although obviously you want to prep for a map as much as humanly possible, but still something to think about. And like I said before, previous matches that I've watched Froyotech play this map on it, you know, they're not bad at it. They're definitely somewhat prepared, but you still have the new map factor, and it leads to inconsistencies. And I think that it's totally possible that Corsia, especially because they picked the map, like we said, could just start winning mids akin to Snakewater and working their way into last push attempts, and they don't have too much to worry about in terms of other parts of the map. So
Yeah, but I think it's going to be starting somewhat soon. So let's get some predictions here. You know, last time we definitely didn't predict something that close, but this time around, what are you thinking?
I really don't know this. I want to say this is an educated guess, but it can't even be educated because I don't know the level of preparedness that Corsia is like for this match. So I'll say that they can definitely like get at least 3 rounds maybe, but I don't know if that's going to be like continued on for them actually winning the match, or if it's just going to like stop there and they ultimately lose. But I think it'll be at least contested. It'll be a contested match is my prediction. It won't be a clean sweep.
I think it's safe to say that this map probably won't go to time. So we're going to see some team get 5. I think I got to agree with you. 5-3 is a safe bet. Usually when you're not entirely sure who's going to, but you know, there's some team that should probably have some sort of a favor. And I think Froyo, it's safe to say they are the favorite on this map just because it's a big unknown. It's a big question mark overall. And I'd love to see if Corsia just has mids worked out because they so far have looked great with their double bombs with their initiation. A lot of this map is going to be a lot of double bombing, some spamming, trying to get up one of the sides, and getting your demo in a good spot.
And basically, I feel like this mid maybe not plays a lot, but it reminds me a lot of Metalworks in terms of how it plays out, which I feel like actually now saying that, I think you know Trip isn't the biggest fan of Metalworks, so maybe that won't be very good for Corsia in terms of having Trip go huge. But who knows? Maybe you don't need him to go huge, or who knows? Maybe he will. So time will tell, but at the very least, it'll be an important factor in the pace of the game. Which I kind of agree what you said earlier that it's probably not gonna go to time. We probably will see the 5 rounds. Like even if this map is played a little bit slower, because teams might not be sure exactly what they can and can't push off of. Should probably go at least fast enough to be able to get some good action in. So I'm happy about that at the very least, or at least that prediction, that thought process.
I don't think there's an unbreakable hold on this map unless there's something I don't know. You know, like there's the gun on Snakewater that can make it real slow, but I don't know if there's something like that on this map that is going to make it really, really hard to hold. But so far from what I've seen, it's somewhat easy to get through a lot of these points. Like Last has so many doors to try and work with. Mid, or at least mid to second, there's a lot of room to try and get through where it's a bit far away from where the combos usually play. And the team's taking their good old time, maybe having a couple talks. But you know, I'll ask the same question I did last time. Who's the player to watch on each team? What are you thinking?
I think the player to watch on Corsia is Trip, because Trip was a very big part in their success and like initiation and playmaking and stuff. And you have to see if he's able to stay consistent on a less familiar map. It's going to be huge in terms of their performance. For Freyo, I want to probably put. I don't really know who to put focus on for Froyotech, honestly. Probably gonna nix that one and just only go with Trip because I'm not really sure who I really want to watch out for.
I'm gonna say for Corsia, I think this map there's a lot of high ground to deal with, and I think Alex was playing really, really well, and I think he needs to keep it up. I'm gonna say he's gonna be a big, important part of this game, and overall, just looking at it, it doesn't look like a great soldier just solo play map because you kind of just got to commit. There's nowhere to really finesse, like at least on mid. And I'm gonna say I think Skis needs to play pretty well because he was getting killed a lot in that second half of the other game by both soldiers, and he definitely needs to try and play a little bit tighter with his scout and stay alive. Even though a lot of times he goes forward as a team, I think he individually needs to watch for himself, especially so this game doesn't get too scrappy.
That's definitely a good point, but we are finally ready up into the last match of the night, the third match. Froyotech versus Corsia, as both teams are rolling out to mid here. There's some different rollouts for the demo man, but it feels like both of them are gonna go ahead and go through the choke rollout. We have a fast soldier coming from Trip, taking a lot of early damage though. It's not gonna be too great for him. He's dropped all the way to 18 HP, backing up a little bit, and that's gonna allow Froyotech to take some space. Brandslam trying to do the best he can to stay on the point and deny it, but not without him taking tons and tons of damage. And with people already wrapped behind him on the side of Froyotech, Blaze and Jay doing the best they can to continue to apply pressure. Froyotech's going ahead and take the high ground above the cap and on the cap themselves. So a nice bomb from
Trip is
Jay.
Behind though.
Nice.
I don't. Oh, they don't.
Oh yeah, they definitely know. He's trying to do the best he can, but he's not necessarily bringing anyone back. Yeah,
there
beats
is
Fanny.
Yeah, it's not. And Ash getting picked. Jay with a 3K on that mid, doing a great job. And learning after that first mid, demo looks so good on this map, or on this mid at least. Everything is just in the perfect range for every projectile to hit. And now with Corsia down 2 soldiers, there's so much free ground to work with. Blaze immediately in through the right side, along with Habib and his medic. They get the gun down. A lot of space. Blaze in on the med at spawn, gets the force out. Zilly popping a little bit healthy, but you know, you can't blame him. Bit scared. Soldiers on top of your head. One direct could be it. And now Froyo has this full Uber to work with. They're just probably going to wait for their roamer to spawn up here.
Yep. Gun up on the left side of the map for Corsia. No sniper this time as they're getting ready to hold here, but Froyotech, I think if they realize that this far left door from their perspective is relatively free, not a lot of whole threats. They're eating a little bit of spam, but seems like the trip flank is not going to lead to too much success, so with an extra pick, it's very, very nice for them to try to work their way across the point. As they do pop and try to work their way into the enemy spawn, walking across sticks, doesn't matter, they're invulnerable, no unflashed players, and they are able to collect. Zilly only trading Eric on the other side of the map, so if they work off their heals, this could be pretty good for them. Other players on Corsia trying to do the best they can to create chaos on the other portion of the map that Froyotech left behind, but not really able to find too much. And it seems like that with the player ad that Froyotech has, this initiation onto the point is going to be able to collect the kills they need to collect the round. Just one scout left alive, and his medic Zilly trying to go for melee kills, but not able to find anything. And that is a Froyotech round conversion.
Alright, yeah, so what I learned is you need a sniper on this map, or you need your soldiers up on that right door, because it's so free and there's a decent sight line. Going into this next mid, it just started off bad. Trip ate a pipe, had to get healed, and then Zilly ate a lot of spam, and Habib was just up on that right side, getting so much damage out. Trip immediately, nope, not trying to get behind, but he's on that left side. But Froyo trying to push that right on the right and lower. Trip instantly in, along with Ash. Some damage onto Skis. Trip back in, getting onto, they get Skis 2 pipes from Alex, but everyone down but Brandslam and Zilly. They're going to end up cutting their losses, trying to get out with their Uber ad. But Jay's trying to get forward, even though he's 50 HP, and good job from Corsia getting out, but they end up selling out real hard for the med. But they do get their man.
Yep, they have some heals and to try to work their way back into 2 despite leaving all the way to last, just making sure they're safe enough. No hiders necessarily in lobbies, they won't meet any threats there. Too many weak players on Froyotech unable to go for any sort of play, so they are able to work their way back to their own 2, and with this Uber ad, they can probably try to work their way over to mid once they get buffed up enough. And Froyotech have to do the best they can to set up and prevent them from getting in without a kill going their way or getting an Uber force or something like that. Habib trapping up both on the left side of the map and is going to be the side of the books area that Corsia wants to push through. Sticks are going to get cleared a little bit, not tons and tons of spam onto these players, so it's going to be relatively free. A bomb coming in from Blaze, but it's not going to be too much. He is going to die and be unsuccessful at getting that force. So with one player down, it's not going to look too good. They are able to collect a fountain kill over on a Yite, so good job by the rest of the Froyotech flank to get something there at least, but it's not exactly what they wanted and it's going to be no force. However, this ad is very, very small. I'd be very surprised if Corsia actually goes with it. So it looks like, unless they're about to thread the needle, it's going to even out here a little bit.
Yeah, and no clue how they break the stalemates here, but Eric getting picked off instantly is going to allow them to try and push through that books. I've seen a lot of times you send your flank through library because it's on this new version of the map, it's a bit easier to rotate, but it looks like Corsia opting to go towards Fountain, trip all the way behind, trying to make something happen, misses the pack, gets onto Skis, gets the drop with the escape plan. And
What a
Skis
play.
was just not ready for that, and I don't think Banny was either, and that was just walked into Trip's hands. Great play from him, and now Blaze is trying to get out.
That was tons and tons of trust that did not work out the way of Froyotech, and now, of course, he's just working their way through the right side of the map from their perspective, getting onto Jay really early, a lot of damage, and the gun's gonna go down. Bandy dying with the gun, probably did not expect that, but all these heavy off classes were not prepared for such an early Uber, so what could have been a successful hold from Froyotech, dropped Uber, just leads to a last push immediately, and that's a round for Corsia.
And so far, these mids just haven't looked great for Corsia, although last time they decided, let's just get their med and leave. But yeah, Froyo's just been looking really, really good. They've been set up well, and I think Corsia needs to try and have a little bit of a different start. This time, Froyo opting to go towards Choke, once again towards the right side. Trip actually in his own fountain. I think someone did spawn him, Blaze sniffing him out, and Trip may get the trade. He just misses the rocket. 2 weak players in the fountain. Ash in onto Jay, but another pipe from Habib onto Yite, and they get 3 down. These just mids that just aren't looking great for Corsia.
Yeah, they're not necessarily finding the damage or counter initiation they need. They get really hurt and get cleaned up, and no one's really preventing a whole lot of the Froyotech players from walking forward. So it's definitely the Froyotech train when it comes to the mid fights for the most part. And this time, instead of losing Skis, they have an Uber to work with. So no leapfrog scenario here. Ash is going to be up, and they're going to be back to a stalemate scenario after they go ahead and cap the second point. I think Corsia have kind of realized that it's last it is, but honestly, looking at this last is a little bit akin to Snakewater in terms of the setup. You know, got a lot of your teammates over on the right side, but the door's not really held very well. Froyotech flank breaking through, but despite getting weak players, they're not able to collect any kills. So that 2-man's not going to really work out, and as well as Trip going ahead with a very, very quick counter sack, not being able to find anything either.
What is this gun? This gun does not deny anything, but if someone comes in and goes towards the middle, they're dead. I don't quite get it. It's also level 1, so I'm not really sure what Brainslam's doing here.
I think this is the type of gun that you regret later because it just shoots the enemy soldier into your medic and makes the force easier. But who knows? Maybe it covers lower.
Maybe he knows something we don't.
Yeah, maybe it actually covers the distance into lower.
I don't know. Maybe it does.
Either way, it is what it is. That's where the gun is, so that's what we have to deal with. But more importantly, Skis does get forced by successful play coming from Corsia, but how successful it is, it's hard to really say. Dropping 3 for that is not advantageous. The gun is going to do some damage to Habib. It's making him a little bit slow, but not too much. They have this Uber to work with, try to block the point. Will come out, Soldiers trying to bomb in and work their way in to get the force in. It seems like both of them are going to give their life for it, but the rest of Froyotech are staying in, ready for this post Uber, trying to work their way onto the point. Air getting a lot of cap time, distracting for his team, to be able to get out, because I think they've kind of realized with no soldiers alive, this post Uber is not going to work out too well for them. Doing the best they can, Habib getting juggled, trying to put his damage onto Trip, both of them very, very weak, but it seems like Habib standing still for the arrow is going to ultimately get him killed, so successful play from Trip nonetheless to slow Habib down enough to allow his team to collect the kill. So not really great in terms of Froyotech being able to convert around. They're all the way back to mid now, and with no demo man and no scout, this is grounds for Corsia to start poking through doors and trying to push into mid here.
Great pipe from Alex there, and now they're gonna instantly come to library, but they're not watching for Jay, and he gets onto Zilly, but they don't care about that. They trade 3 for their med, and you know, honestly, you take that a lot of the times. And now, if they deny all these spawners, this is going to be a pretty good push. It's just Banny, Habib, and Skis with Uber, but that is Banny, Habib, and Skis with Uber. I think this is the three worst things to probably be left up.
Yep, seems like they're going the slower route and just going to go ahead and scout speed their medic forward as fast as possible to get to mid to actually hold them back. They think they know that Froyotech has to wait on respawners of their own, so they can get a pretty nice attempt at trying to force the enemy Uber here as they begin to set up Alex. You see setting up some traps around Choke, but it seems like that it's going to be towards the library that Froyotech wants to take this Uber at.
They're going to come through Ash on top, high bombing in, trying to get counter jumped in. There goes the double soldier bomb. They're going to get the force. But is trading 2 worth it? Because Froyo may instantly just try and steamroll this forward. And looks like they're going towards the fountain with 4 people. Blaze already getting behind 4 free through the right side. And everyone on Froyo is walking forward. The Uber's only at 60%. Great job from Blaze, or Jay, and now Blaze is from behind. They're going to deal with them just in time. Zilly's going to get out. The spawners are coming in. Trip is recontesting. Jay behind again, and they're going to have to keep going forward, 20 HP, but he just gets too many rockets off, and there's so much damage out. It's just Trip and Brand Slam. Trip trying to get in, kind of gets juggled straight up, and it's just not looking great.
Yeah, the reinforcements came in, but just not quite fast enough. They spawned right next to their medic, but not really able to get off any crit heals, and not realizing the situation that's at hand is not quite enough to keep Zilly alive. So, despite Froyotech losing a lot of players for this second cap, you know, they still have their medic, which is good for them. It means that this Uber's probably going to come into play as soon as their people rolling out get there. Probably just waiting on Eric and getting the rest of the players buffed up, but no off classes on the side of Corsia, no gun or anything, so whichever door Froyotech tries to go through, as soon as I say that, now they do it, but it's a little bit too late. Froyotech could already be pushing through a door, and the gun's not even level 2, it's still building, popping through immediately through the main shutter, trying to find the gun location. Habib a little bit not near his team, but it's going to ultimately be okay because the gun's only level 1. Early presence onto the point. Alex.gg trying to do the best he can to spam back, but counter initiation from the red soldiers on Zilly getting popped into the air, collecting Ash instead and Alex.gg, but not without Froyotech soldiers falling in their place. Seems a bit of a scrappy fight, and things are actually going Corsia's way despite the last hold setup not being as best as they wanted to. But Habib's presence and Benny's presence is a little bit too strong, and actually going to turn this into a 3v3. This has to go fast though. Habib is dying, and people are going to be respawning on Corsia, so what could have been a very good fight for Froyotech is not going to end up that route, as they have to go ahead and back up. And Zilly has Zuber to work with now, Marmalou, so this should be relatively free as long as they're not too careful.
Blaze is trying to get behind, drawing some eyes. Jay alone on the point. It looks like Blaze should be found out, but Eric is coming here. Both soldiers, of course, you hear. It looks like Eric's going to call it off. Blaze is going to slip out. And if you're Corsia, you definitely in Blaze. Kills himself, rocket jumping off the wall. Maybe a little bit of a mishap, but it's going to be even Ubers here. No soldiers from Froyo. And now Brand Slam is just completely alone, and they end up turning it maybe onto an intended one-sack. Trip in, doesn't get any damage onto Skis, and now that's a two-man. And since this map, there's a lot of open spaces, they're going to take it through the choke. A bit of damage from Ash onto Skis, maybe going to force the Uber a little bit earlier. Jay getting behind really easily, but he eats a pipe, gets picked off. Now it's just Yite, Ash, and Zilly on the point, but Ash kind of getting left out to dry. The Uber trade's coming out. I don't know if Skis is even going to pop here, and he ends up doing it, but now Zilly is really far committed, but these stickies may have saved his life, and the rocket juggle over the fence. They just let Zilly out. He's just playing a surf map out here.
And now playing for the wrong team.
We're playing for Yite, and it's going to be a 3v3, no heals. It's Alex and Brand Slam left, and Zilly getting saved by Froyo's soldier in demo.
Definitely surprising to see, but it is what it is. That is going to be a failed push coming out of Froyotech. It was going to be pretty good for them for the most part, but just didn't really go their way with the post-Uber being relatively okay and Zilly being able to escape, so the heals allowed them to stay in the fight. And actually, Skis fell during that Uber, you're right, so, or post-Uber rather, so, you know, Zilly has to build up the rest of his Uber and get ready to push with his team to try to take the opposing teams too, but not without Froyotech being able to set up. Bee's got some stickies over by the choke, and we'll have to see what Froyotech does to try to thwart Corsia from pushing through the door of their choice.
Yeah, they're going to go through the library door, books, library, whatever. There's sticks on the main door. They're going to end up popping through, but since they're so close to the exit, Habib actually choosing the wrong door, and he's going to end up getting caught out. Not quite sure, but Ash is super far forward. Eric's trying to get this pick. His team should be able to come and gets a good rocket, gets an air shot, but Zilly dying on the back lines from Jay, a really good pick. But now it's 3 up, 70%, 80% Uber for Skis, and they're actually going forward with leaving Blaze to the other side of the map. Banny trying to sniff out Trip, won't find him. Getting onto Alex, who's very, very weak. Yite doing a great job of peeling for him. Trip coming in as well. They get Banny down, and that's a really, really big opening pick. But they have a couple weak players.
Yeah, Alex got arrowed, so Banny thought he could go ahead and trade for the demo pick, but Alex did a good job of hiding, so gonna be a scout pick, and not really anything that they can work with. They're gonna have a scout down if they want to push right now, and waiting for his spawn just means their ad is dwindling a little bit. Looks like they're taking the route of taking lobby, but still waiting for his spawn at the very least. But now that he's up, it seems like the Eric's going to be taking the Uber instead of coming through this left-hand side from their perspective. Not really facing too much except for early spam. Both soldiers playing relatively far back, but it should be okay for them because they still have some moments to try to jump in. Yite going behind, trying to draw some players, and that's going to draw some initiation from Ash. Jumping in, collecting kills onto the opposing combo, and Skis not quite forced yet, but eventually will when he sees two soldiers in his face. One dropping, but Ash doing the best he can to escape, and he will do so.
Oh, they're going to ignore them and go to last.
Going straight to last, splitting through the different doors through main and left side, and It's going to be a little bit of a race in terms of stacking it, but it seems like it's going to be ultimately
from Ash.
the better play, going straight to last, and that will be a round conversion. Good job using the most they could out of the chaos and the distraction. You know, one person going behind in Yite creates a distraction, but then even more confusion when your entire team goes to last. So we'll have to see how this mid fight goes, and if, of course, he's able to keep up the train.
Yeah, these mids just haven't been looking great for him, but everything else looking pretty decent. Blaze instantly high bombing in, trying to get onto the other team's fountain, which he does, but Corsia realizes that, goes right into Habib, who's caught in his own choke. Trip gonna get traded out, but getting Habib, there's a huge pick. Blaze behind, trying to draw some eyes, but now Habib down, but they're eating so much spam from everywhere. A good rocket from Jay onto Zilly. But once again, just weak players, but Blaze is full HP, a really good bomb, and that is gonna single-handedly probably, oh, actually, it's just Jay, but he does have 300 or 200 HP and a beam. Alex is one rocket, doing a great job of maneuvering around it. Not good enough. Brand slam on the roof, and Jay has a lot of help for him to try and ship down here.
I think Brand Slam realizes that the enemy reinforcements are coming in way quicker than he can collect this kill, so he's going to go ahead and back up. That was nice from Corsia at the beginning, but they risked any side each other's models near the end there. So what could have been a very good mid for them just ends up flip-flopping, and now Froyotech are in a good position where they own mid, and they have a full Uber to take into through the door of their choice. Looks like Habib is kind of poking through the choke a little bit, trying to put early damage on, and his team might follow suit and just go ahead and go through the door if it looks pretty free. He's taking a lot of damage, though. It's going to slow them down, but I think since they've kind of shown a presence here, the rotation into the library is a smart move, as they're going to work their way despite the Uber winning a little bit. Uber coming out, trying to do the best they can to try to chase any kills, getting Yite really early on, and actually they're looping around all the way behind, but I think Corsia have kind of recognized their exit is cut off, but they're not kiting in the proper way to be able to survive. It was a good plan on paper, but it's not really executed the right way, as Trip's going to be the last person alive and will probably eventually fall to one of the scouts, and he will do so. So valiant effort from Corsia, trying to do the best they can at kiting what Froyotech was pulling out there, trying to cut them off, but not necessarily what they needed, as they only have 2 people alive, as Froyotech is getting on the point right now. With one dropping it, it's just Ash, and it seems like it's not going to be quite enough. So that will be a Froyotech round conversion.
The main thing about this map is, since the top right, the way to get out is actually longer than if you push through shutter, so you're just forced to stick in. It's kind of, I don't know if it was designed that way or if it's not intended, but if you can't leave if the other team pushes that main shutter, your med is caught, maybe you have to play in a different spot, or you just have to do what they did, but commit earlier together. But mid coming again, Habib super aggro with a lot of damage onto Alex, hits the pipe. That is not a great start to mid. Both scouts being red along with Zilly. They're going to double soldier and get onto skis. It's just Brand Slam and Zilly left. Great job recognizing this mid is over. Let's kill skis.
Yep, another sellout mid. Despite losing the mid, it's going to work out in their favor in terms of the overall pace of the game. They have an Uber to work with, but this time you have Jay in lobby. I'll have to see if he hides or anything. But no, he's just going to try to get some extra presence. But it seems like a 2 capture is going to go on, which is not, it didn't happen the previous time. So instead of Corsia breaking out from 2 to mid, it's going to be them breaking out of their own last, which is much more of a precarious situation to be in. Working the way in lobby, getting the rest of their Uber up, and Froyotech are ready for whatever they're about to throw. Looks like they're trying to poke around, trying to figure out which door is best. Shutter was considered, but it seems like it's going to be a rotation over to their left side as they work their way through. A little bit of a slower pace, trying to get their soldier some space in the Froyotech flank, working their way into lobby, but Trip and Yite are both there to try to do the best they can at thwarting any back cap attempt from happening. So with that call that everything's a-okay, it seems like Corsia's going to be a-okay to stay in here, but not without dropping their scout. That is not a situation you want to be in with only a demo and medic on the combo. It's going to slow them down a lot, and slowing down a lot means that Froyotech has even more time to get their Uber, but a pause is going to happen. So this is 90 seconds of the future. It didn't happen right now, so it's not like someone crashed during this fight, but something happened later on that we'll have to deal with. But we'll have to see how this situation plays out. You know, they still have the Uber to work with. Bandies in front of their face might be a relatively free kill unless something beefs, but a lot of chaos. We've seen what happens when a lot of chaos happens when you're trying to break out of last. Someone goes behind, tries to back cap, you thwart that one. The second one, though, is what I'm worried about. And Habib, well, I guess Habib's the only one that can really do it.
They actually did a really good job of realizing that, because Bandy pushed flank, got on Trip, but the entire combo just over-rotated the flank, which was the good call in this position. And Banny, either what's going to happen is he's going to probably 2-shot Zilly, or he's going to get 2-shot by Yite. And Yite kind of caught him in a good spot where he's kind of just juggled in the air, but he is over 120 HP. And a great job from Yite and Trip dealing with the initial fight. I think Yite getting both those kills with the pistol. And this is a weird position because their Uber, they didn't pop it, but they're pushed through that top left door from the Corsia perspective just really didn't work out. Ski's 35% off of this Uber, and yeah, Banny right here. It's gonna be really hard if they don't get this pick. They're probably not gonna be able to push, and they're gonna have to leave back to last and keep it at even Ubers.
Even if they get this pick, it's going to be really difficult for them because they still have to wait for all their people to respawn and get where they need to be for a post Uber to happen. Like, it's not just about using their Uber, but making sure that Ass and Trip and Brand Slam are able to get out onto 2 in time for when the Ubers are actually over and they can lock down doors. So it's going to buy enough time, like waiting for that to happen, for Skis' Uber to potentially come into play and actually block the point or something, especially with Eric and Blaze, not having to travel too far to get to 2 once they spawn. So overall, a good attempt and play from Froyotech, just buying time, preventing 2 from swapping into Corsia's favor. It's just it's not completely successful in terms of things hopping into their court, but it is kind of more evened things out more than anything, like you said.
Yeah, I have no clue when this is going to unpause, but if I'm Zilly, I'm a little bit. He's not looking at this image in real time, but I'd be a little bit worried because this is like a good spot and a bad spot, because even though Yite has Banny where he kind of wants him, Banny kind of also has Zilly where he wants him. And is he gonna pop here if he eats a meat shot, or is he gonna try and milk it and opt for believing in Yite, hitting those shots? Nothing else really happening here besides Habib potentially being able to push from behind. They do unpause, and Banny gets insta-give. Jay getting really, really weak, and he gets dealt with as well. And this is so good. Getting onto Skis. This time, Yite does not look like he's going to miss. Oh, Skis gets the pack, and he does give up. Habib coming from behind, getting picked off. A nice shot into Eric. Not quite enough. And Skis just barely getting out there.
Yep. That was much more in Corsia's favor than I initially expected, but they do have a demo pick to work off of, so it's no wonder they're trying to work their way through mid very, very aggressively. Froyotech doing the best they can at trying to prevent the other team from getting through the choke. Only losing Ash, but the Uber is going to come out from Froyotech, trying to work their way onto the other team, are going to collect the guys and Alex.exe before the opposing Uber comes out. Probably did not expect Bandy to just 4-shot both of the opposing players that he shot at, so definitely not good for post Ubers coming out of Corsia. Trip going to be left behind, and it seems like Brand Slim and Zilly are on the way to last, recognizing that there's no way that they're holding second based off what just happened at mid.
Yeah, they wanted the better Uber, but Zilly was just too far away from his players who were in choke. And Banny, like you said, 4-shot 2 players and kind of just single-handedly won that Uber fight. And now it's even Ubers. Corsia back at their own last. Not the best position, but not the worst. At least you're still in the round here.
Yep, still not in dire straits, just not necessarily where you would want to be given what was happening 5 minutes ago or so.
We just gotta hope Ahmed isn't the one who had a technical issue, because otherwise that will definitely change the game. Someone else, maybe not. And it looks like it wasn't.
It was Alex.exe, which means this last hold has no stickies and they're just pushing off of it. There's no.
Wow.
Just go for the sack immediately. Not able to find anything other than Brand Slam. That just means there won't be any sort of counter sack, but definitely using every advantage they can, I guess.
A little bit scummy, but it is a match. You take the advantages you can get, and it doesn't quite work out. Trip going for the counter sack a little bit late, and that's going to be definitely an opportunity for Froyo to work off of that. And they're going to come through this top right door. A lot of damage onto Jay, getting dealt with. Banny with a bit of damage along with Habib, and they're going to have to leave everyone on the cookie cutter classes from both teams so far.
Yep, no off class. It's kind of surprising to see, but I guess, with all the hectic stuff happening, you don't want to necessarily go on an off class while everything's crazy, but they will finally go ahead and go for a sentry gun in whatever location they best see fit. But I think Eric has kind of realized that there's an opportunity to go in while the engineer is not set up, and the engineer will fall. Counter initiation coming from the blue team onto the cap will collect those kills, but no gun for them, so it's going to be a bit before they get that up.
Yeah, just continuously two-manning, and they're going to go again through dungeon. Banny's going to run in. And Ash sacking there, they're going to call it off a little bit, maybe go again off of another 2-player ad, which is really, really late. Jay in, trying to get a 1v1 versus Trip, and gets turned around a couple times during that, but Banny through the top right, gets onto Alex, and that's a big, big pick to work off of. But still, they are down 2 players, 4-1, so it's a little bit rough to work off of.
A little bit rough, but at least one of the picks you do have as a demo, so you know these doors are pretty open. Blaze trying to jump in off the fact that he knows there's no traps to worry about, making space for his team. Is going to fall, though, not quite too successful in finding anything there, so going to be a 2-man overall with Banny respawning and not quite there yet. Trip bombing in, but hitting his head on the ceiling, not able to find anything. Yite getting really low as well, has to back up, and it seems like this counter-sack attempt onto the lobby players is not going to really find too much. Jay, on the other hand, trying to work his way in off of the blue transitioning team and getting the force onto Zilly, which is what you want to see if you're a Froyotech fan. Only losing one for that force is very nice out of them, and it seems like, of course, you might regret bringing their entire team in a lobby there for a moment, and just now they're in a sad situation, have to rebuild that gun up again. Actually didn't even go up previously the other time because the engineer died, but overall, uber ad coming out of Froyotech and her eyeing up these doors and figuring out which one's the best for them to go through.
Yeah, Trip had all the right intentions, just didn't quite execute it, but this time they don't have a sniper again, and if Froyo opts for this top right door, I'd hope to see Corsia try and do something a bit different than them just standing there spamming, but it looks like Froyo's going to go through this, the left side from the defender's perspective, get in, pop, behind the point goes Habib, and Habib eats a lot of damage again, trading for the gun. He's going to get bowed up, but Banny's able to try and play this point, eats a bit of stickies and rockets. Blaze trying to get onto Alex, gets a lot of damage. Trip gets 2 in the shutter. Both scouts are juggle onto Skis, who's very, very weak, and it looks like Habib and Skis are caught here. Habib trying to get onto Zilly, just doesn't quite get the pipe out.
Yeah, we got a decent amount of presence on the right side of the map with the Uber, but not really a whole lot of damage or kills. So overall, when the fight just happened, it was just kind of a scrappy fight. You know, one side versus the other, and no inherent advantage either way. So overall, of course, he's going to be able to hold on to that because the last push isn't good enough. And with them taking mid here, it's going to be a leapfrog all the way potentially from last to last if this Uber coming out onto the opposing teams too is any good. They do have a sniper to work with, so that'll kind of increase the pace at which they probably play unless soldiers are really aggressive and get onto Banny. They will actually collect that kill and not die themselves, which is very nice, which means they can continue to use this Uber in the last, to the opposing team's last, like I said, straight through the shutter, trying to pick a door, and it seems like it's going to be straight through the second shutter in lobby as well. They pop through, leading on Brand Slam, try to put good damage in the soldiers. No necessarily off classes on Froyotech, they just got to last. Habib is getting jumped by a soldier. He's going to collect one before dying himself, and with no demo, there's no stickies on the point for the scouts of Corsia to be able to stand on it freely. A lot of spam coming out from the soldiers, though. Got to make sure he dies, and with only 2 people left alive on Corsia, things does not look like it's going to necessarily go their way. Alex.exe, 6 HP, will fall to Banny, and what could have been last to last greatness just kind of fills it out at the end there, and last push didn't necessarily go the route they wanted to.
Yeah, good start, but Blaze spawns from that right spawn and just gets a free bomb on the back and just hits every single rocket and pretty much single-handedly saved that last hold there.
Froyotech in a good position with their Uber ad, though. Flipping the script, trying to work their way through choke. Trip trying to apply damage, but not without eating some damage himself. Yite is working his way behind, trying to 1v1 Blaze. Will be successful in that regard, so he has some space made for his team. Looks like he's going to go for the back cap route, so there's going to be some momentum for Corsia to try to continue to fight the point here and just make sure they don't die to the Uber, but enough pressure is applied where Yite is staying on it, not even running back up till now. So successful back cap attempt in regards of buying space for a team will eventually die, but that just means that Zilly is that much closer to getting his Uber. So, you know, 25%, a little bit rougher to use than full like 40 or 60 ad. So as it continues to dwindle as the Froyotech players buff up, I think they've kind of realized that this advantage they had is no longer usable, and probably going to go into a stalemate scenario here where Corsia tries to break into the opposing teams too and force Skis' Uber.
I don't think we've been in this situation very often, so a couple times I've seen you push your flank through books behind them, or you just try and milk it through Fountain like we've seen them do, I think, previously. It looks like they're going to opt for that again, but Habib with stickies all over these doors, and they're playing very, very, very far up at the moment. Not as much anymore, but still, there we go. The flank comes in, Trip trying to get behind, and he kind of loops around and runs into the other soldier. Yite trying to get a 1v1 versus Blaze, and gets dealt with.
Yeah, nice rocket from Blaze is going to be able to collect that kill. With 2 people dead, it's kind of rough for Corsia to be able to hold this. Eric's sneaking through and Jay is sneaking through as well. Not getting an iron grip on this hold. They're having to bring a scout back to make sure they collect the J kill, but that just means that they're getting through the choke very, very easily. Banny on top of the point. Brand Slam is going to die and the Uber is going to come out of Skis. Not on their own terms. They use it reactively and they're not able to be in a position to actually force Skis' Uber. So a little bit of a misplay in trying to iron hold that point and make sure that they held it the best they could, because now Skis is in a good position as long as no one gets dropped. A lot of people getting low, but be able to use this Uber to continue to work their way over onto 2. Trying to peek in the lobby a little bit, but not really worth it at the end of the day. Have to make sure they're able to cap mid. Is Yai is behind and able to clean up. Eric working on his way over towards Jay, but he's very, very weak, and I'm sure, missed rocket.
My God.
This could be it, but
So
not
close.
quite. Jay lives with 10 HP, so good play overall back and forth, making sure that you get the kills you need to. And speaking of getting the kills you need to, a Dome Man is a nice one at that, because that's going to be some incentive for Corsia to work their way through the choke here. They're able to collect Ash on the side of Froyotech and arrow up Jay to make sure he's weak, but not without leaving Skis out to dry. No one is with Skis, and he is going to fall. So in that regard, Corsia is going to hold us and take what they can get and make sure that they can use this Uber advantage that Zilly is very, very close to getting for their next push into mid here.
That Trip just finds his way through the library and just gets a free bomb onto Skis and does not miss a single rocket. The juggle, the direct. The only worry I'd have here is now the flank push potential from Froyo, but they find Blaze. They do so much damage to him, and he may get caught up by Yite, which he does, and Yite gets through behind, and the Froyo is trying to get in, but Eric gets dealt with. Rockets from Jay gets the force, but if I am Corsia, I will take 3 picks every day of the week for my Uber.
Yeah, very much so. I would also agree. I'll take 3 kills any day. And they don't have to. Well, they don't have to worry too much about locking out spawns. Blaze will be there, but Alex will be right on top of them. Don't really do the most amazing job of making sure the kill is collected. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be too inconsequential because they're going to have to, make sure they lock up 2 anyway and not really push into last per se off that pick. So it doesn't really affect too much they got out, but Froyotech in the driver's seat now, 90%. Got to get the rest of their Uber up and work their way into the lobby to potentially use this. I can only imagine that they will, because the ad is relatively big. It's 40, but it's slowly dwindling if they don't hurry up and choose. I would have liked them to see, them in lobby a little bit earlier. As now, as I'm talking, it's already down to 25, and I think they've realized that the pace at which they've used this advantage is much, much too slow. So they peek in lobby, kind of recognize the situation they're in, say screw it, let's go back to last. Way too small to work with. So what could have been a decent Uber from Froyotech is now back to holding last. Got a heavy, got a sentry gun, and up to Corsia to try to figure out the best way for them to break it.
Yeah, gun. It's kind of funny looking from the shutter because you just can't see it past this hedge. But yeah, it's gonna be a bit annoying. The gun and the heavy. It's gonna be really, really rough to try and sack in. You're probably gonna have to take ground through this left side and just go together as a team. Use your demo to try and zone the other guys out, but they're gonna go dungeon with both soldiers, getting really good spam on this gun. It's like they already knew it has moved there, and now they have an opportunity to try and make something happen. But now, while the gun is down, they have a heavy, and the gun is being built right up again. And Trip trying to get through that top door really, unfortunately, didn't work. And they're gonna triple sack all of their projectiles in. They're gonna 4-man.
And not really find anything at that, so they don't even have an Uber ad to work with here.
They gave up second entirely.
That was definitely putting all your eggs in one basket.
It was 30 seconds, okay.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I don't know about the 4-man still. I think you'd probably trade, but...
Yeah, I feel like a Dome Man trade would be pretty nice because the heavy and the NG are like all in the same location, so there'd be a ton of flashing. But
there's
hey,
already
if that's
20 seconds by the time they got back here. But
yeah,
whatever.
If that's the route they want to take, that's the route they want to take. They do it now, but there's probably not going to be enough time for a post Uber. The Uber comes out, which is only going to leave 6 seconds to actually finish the point off. Froyotech is going to respond with their Uber and just sit there heavy on it. This does not look like it's going to turn out into anything. A little bit too slow to try to execute it, and this probably is going to be it, unless no, that's it. So that's going to be a stalemate for the first half of this match. One that I didn't expect it to be a stalemate 2-2. I could have sworn that someone would get to 3, but I guess that's just the way it is with this map. Got a lot of things you got to make sure you iron down, and if you're not quite sure, it can kind of make you want to play at a little bit of a slower pace to make sure you got everything.
Okay,
exactly
don't
how
look
you
at
want
logs yet. How many mids did Corsia win?
They won 0 because I think 2 they hard lost, and 2 of them they sold out for skis and left to last and were successful. So I don't think they won any. 5
mids and they tied the half.
Yeah.
That is incredible, especially what we were saying where mids are going to be super important, and then they're not winning mids, so they realize, all right, let's kill skis, get out of mid, reset on our last, reset on our second, and just slowly start rolling the rounds, and it's been really working out for them so far.
Yep. It's like like I said, it's a common thing for you see in Metalworks mids, because this mid reminds me a lot of metalworks with like
It's
the way
compressed metal.
yeah, it's compressed metalworks. Like if you're not good at the mid fight, you just sell out for the other medic and peace out. So it makes sense. It's not. It can also be like a gully wash thing too. But hey, I mean, if that's how you want to, get your rounds, then hey, a round is a round. So I guess Froyotech at this point, if they want to make sure that they're able to be more consistent in terms of their wins, I mean they haven't done too bad. I would say their mid fights isn't actually the issue. Thinking about it, it's probably more about the transitions. I think it just comes down to making sure that you're able to thwart any play the other team does. And it seems like that despite losing the mid fights for the most part, Corsia is doing a much better job at handling plays that are thrown at them uh, and doing plays themselves to allow which would normally you would think was like a pretty decent Froyotech map to go so even.
Yeah, and Brand Slam and Banny topping the kill boards. Jay close behind, and Habib, as always, top damaging. But I think together as a team, Corsia is definitely pulling their weight, even though they've been on the back foot a lot of the game. They're still doing a great job in these scrappy fights, dealing with players behind and focusing players down a lot of times.
Yeah, and then the focus isn't even on Trip this time, I don't think. Before in the Snakewater match, it was Trip doing a lot of the work, and he's just been kind of there. He hasn't been the star player this time in terms of making things happen. I actually think if you were to pick anyone from Corsia, it's been Yite that's been staying consistent between Snakewater and now with pulling off the plays and all the back cap attempts that are creating chaos. So props to him for the unspoken hero that doesn't have the amazing logs, but still like bring a lot of impact to his team.
The thing is, this map, if you try and push into mid from second through books, that fountain is so isolated. And if you want one scout in just a straight up 1v1, Yite is probably one of the top guys you want in it. And he wins those fights, and also just Brand Slam doing a great job. Trip getting a few crucial med picks, not as many as last game where he was unbelievable, but still doing a great job. Ash also doing a great job, but can't ignore Habib, Jay, and Banny all doing a great job as well.
I like that you point out the fountain. I feel like it's like a better version of Snakewater Kitchen when it comes to flanking, because you can.
It's so far away is the thing. At least you can turn around and help from like catwalk, but this time that's just complete ISO.
Yeah, pretty much. Especially because the size of the doorways, once you actually get through the main one, like out of mid into the fountain area, is not too like rough to deal with. I guess you have a low ceiling, but it's not really like coming into play too much when it comes to like trying to take those fights. I don't think so. I think it makes it even easier for those types of plays to be executed, at least for going behind. We've seen him do it once or twice, like just rush in through the fountain area once the team is going through books and it's called early, and you just kill the person there. So it's not like you can't deal with it, but you just need to be prepared. Like I'm sure that the person that is dealing with choke, if you're going through books, I guess, needs to be worried about that. But so far, the execution of Froyotech going into mid has been a little bit rough, and Yite's been able to pull off some of those plays. So let's see what happens this time. Both teams had a halftime to try to adjust the best they can. Corsia with their mid fights, and Froyotech with the general map transitions and thwarting away plays. But overall, at the end of the day, we're on to another mid fight here, so we'll have to see what happens, Marmaloo. Spam going off right off the bat. A little bit slower pace. We have a Trip going behind to try to see if he can do a pinch play, but there's aggression coming out of Froyotech in the same vein. Habib gonna die though really early on from a soldier bomb, so really nice plays getting the demo pick really early, and it seems like the slower paced play that Corsia was taking was overall, at the end of the day, nice for them, getting Trip behind, making sure that Froyotech's not able to be aggressive at all, and the very early Habib pick really cements them being able to take their first mid-win of the half, so whatever they talk about the half was definitely very beneficial for them.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my mic was muted, but what I was saying is Habib's been so good on these mids, and Alex did a great job of maneuvering around the damage, getting a positive damage trade, and they just isolate Habib, get the pick, and everybody on Froyo's kind of stuck on the low ground in their corner near books, and they kind of just had to concede mid and leave themselves in a more favorable last hold. They're going to have even Ubers, and you'll probably see the heavy come up again, but they're going to try and get onto Trip. Eric and Blaze trying to get back onto him, and Trip just gets out.
Yep, gonna collect the health pack and be A-okay. Gonna reset for another attempt at trying to break through. Like you said, no off classes, so you don't have to worry about a sentry gun or a weird sniper sightline as you're trying to peek for information, so it might make things a little bit easier in terms of trying to get information, but no off classes means that it's very nice for Froyotech to rotate around. Zilly getting piped, very, very weak, has to bait his team a small amount, but it doesn't matter. Skis just drops to a trip bomb, proving that his first half stats do not matter, and he still is able to be the impact player that his team needs him to be. And that drop is going to set Corsia in a very nice spot to be able to use their Uberad once they get their flank back alive.
Trip is just a tank. He walks through the shutter, jumps straight onto the med. There's no gun, there's no heavy, and just hits the sink. The rockets right after Yite sacked in as well, and just a great play together. And now there's an NG, a sniper hold from Froyo. Eric rotating to the other side, and he actually may have predicted right, unless they go towards shutter. This may be really bad, and the Trip peeks the left side at least. They're taking the time, getting buffs out, getting that info. Trip getting that big dispenser pick, and Corsia trying to go through the cellar, the dungeon. They pop in, the gun's hidden in the corner. Alex kind of getting juggled, and they can't catch anything. The players just make it to spawn. Eric hitting that resup bind, and now it's kind of rough. The Uber is faded. Ash is in, onto skis. A lot of damage. There's so many weak players. 3 players at red HP. Not quite enough to clean up these guys. Jay on the flank, getting nothing. They clean him up. Skis down already, and now it's just Banny and Blaze to try and clutch this. Blaze in, gets insta-gipped, and that was a slow but a great last push.
Yeah, they weren't able to get too much with the Uber, just the gun, and then a lot of garbage damage on the heavy that eventually reset, but it seemed like Froyotech did not really take a whole lot of space off that distraction. It seems like they were over by their spawn still on the other side of it, and, you know, just ate too much damage and eventually lost, especially with your medic being the first death that's bad for your health. But at the end of the day, back to their mid-fight. We'll have to see if Corsia is able to continue the streak that they had in Snakewater this time around, and make sure they can continue to get these mid wins. A lot of initial spam onto the blue team, making them very, very weak. Not without spam going onto the red scouts as well. High ground taken by Froyotech as Jay is jumping in behind, trying to create space, but not without Ash jumping in as well, trying to create space his own, chasing down people. And it's actually going to be the Froyotech soldiers that drop without collecting a whole lot. It seems like both teams did the best they could at trying to distract and go behind, but Corsia jumping the gun and making sure that they were able to initiate onto the opposing soldiers very, very well without dying to Habib or Banner or anything like that. So with skis dropping and Zilly living, this is a very nice mid-fight and potential last push situation that they are put in, Corsia is.
Yeah, the mid was a bit weird. Yite started off in the fountain, deterring Blaze, and then Ash rotated to fountain, and then the rest of Corsia kind of played passive, a little bit baity, and then Ash jumps in, gets a pick onto the soldier, and cuts off the exit for the rest of Froyo. And now they have a huge Uberad to work with, where they're going to walk through Shutter, not popping yet, and they get pretty deep with it. They pop now, try to get in. Everybody on Froyo is kind of in this back right corner. The gun is dealt with, but Habib kind of isolated himself, walking forward instead of in the spawn, and he's going to get out. Rocket's not quite connecting, but skis down. But Trip and Ash getting traded off in the spawn door. They get Eric down, and Blaze kind of committing really deep, trading his life for damage on the med. Not quite worth it. It's Banny and Habib left against Brand Slam, Alex, and Zilly. They're getting a lot of damage on Habib. He hasn't hit the pipe yet, and now Brand Slam is full HP, and they are up 4-2 on CP Villa B17A.
These Froyotech last holds are very much not refined. We're constantly seeing situations where, you know, they have an opportunity to try to make space, and especially off the off classes they have, but dropping early players like Skis or Habib is definitely not going to suit well for the long-term holding last, but it's not going to matter if they're able to turn things around and go back to winning the mid, so we'll have to see what happens this time around, Marmaloo.
Yeah, and it looks like Blaze is going to opt to go towards his own fountain this time around. Ash trying to make a little bit of space. Trip in now, getting chased by the scout, dealt with really quickly. Brand Slam down. Zilly needs to try and leave it, an air shot from Jay onto Ash, and they can't get onto Skis. He's out with half HP, and Blaze getting shot down by Alex, saving his medic. And Alex, nice pipe onto Banny, stalling Banny just enough. Zilly trying to leave still. So weak, and Banny with a chase down, and Alex down. 15-second respawns.
Those are very, very late deaths. Really unfortunate for Corsia. They are not able to take control of any sort of high ground whatsoever, so especially with Ash getting air shot, you're not able to have any counter initiation, then Habib is just unleashed and does tons and tons of damage to the other team, and you're not really able to survive that too much. Alex.exe and Zilly dying much, much later, so buffs are coming out now, but not really what you want in terms of being able to have a presence onto, you know, finally getting into lobby, trying to apply heals, but it's too little, too late, and not only are they losing 2 here, but they're gonna be in a dis-add scenario for this last hold. Immediately, Uber coming in, getting on a Trip. A couple missed shots is gonna allow Trip to eventually leave, softening his one with his own rocket, getting into spawn, and the rest of the team tries to work for it. But RGLgg getting picked off, trying to be the hero and block the point, but it's not going to be quite enough. No demo means no stickies, which means tons of players on it, and that is a very, very quick Uber and quick round for Froyotech.
Yeah, Trip forced to spawn. Everyone kind of went through spawn for the rotation, and they just focused that cap and get it down instantly. And after that one mid that Corsia really steamrolled, it looks like Froyo kind of got it down a little bit more. But this time, Alex not taking nearly as much damage. Trip sacrificing health for a bit of speed to pressure out Habib. He's going to have to leave mid. And a lot of Froyo getting a lot of pressure out. Blaze and Fountain getting rushed by both scouts. There goes Jay. Onto Zilly, gets one rocket. Can't... Eric comes in and gets the cleanup. And now it's just Alex. And these mids have been looking way, way better. Nice pipe onto Jay from Alex. But it's not going to mean much. But he's going to bomb in, trying to get the play. But Skis is long gone.
Yep, nowhere in sight, and it's not going to be anything. And that late demo death is going to mean it's even easier for Froyotech to go ahead and take 2 here. There's not going to be any people rolling out that are going to try to burst out a lobby and try to stop this, despite only being 4 people around. So late demo death kind of leaves Corsia at their own last. Froyotech have kind of figured out the mids to make them consistent now. They're definitely putting priority on making sure they have someone on the high ground non-stop to prevent Corsia from doing any sort of counter initiation. And as long as Jay or Banny is just up there the entire time, it's not going to lead to a Corsia victory because Trip and Ash aren't able to bomb properly. So far, you'll have to see if Froyotech's able to get this round conversion off this Uber ad they have. It's dwindling a little bit, but 25% looks like it's going to go through the cellar area.
They get in, they pop in instantly. They're going to get this gun down any second now. And they're going to push straight through the spawn, cutting Alex off. He's left out to dry again. The spawners all stuck in the right spawn door. They get the Uber, though. The cap time is being focused. They get half cap, but they have to leave because these players are all Ubered on last. But everyone, nope, Jay getting caught kind of kills the repush. Although Alex is still down, the health isn't too great for Froyo.
Yep, can't necessarily push off the demo pick if you're very, very weak. They do have this really, really small ad to work off, and it makes sense that Corsia's building. They don't want to accidentally push off of, lose off of 15 disab, but I think Froyotech kind of realize that because they're building, they're not necessarily super healthy and watching doors. They try to initiate in, but immediately losing Banny. Now without losing Knight, though, trades, kills going in both directions. With both demo men dead, the doors are pretty much open for the skirmish to continue on. This has to be won very quickly, and it is not. Yeah.
Onto Eric, that was gross. But now, that's going to give an opportunity for Corsia to come out. But the spawners will be coming in from Froyo, so they have an opportunity to refight, especially with this 20% re-ad, or ad. They can try and come back in, and Bandy's looking like he's going in. Jay's in as well, getting a lot of damage onto Zilly. Zilly's trying to get out. 99%. He does get the Uber just in time. And they're going to be able to maybe catch out some players, but Froyo's not giving up any ground, and Zilly leaving Alex out is going to cause a lot of damage to come their way. And that may be the reason they're not going to push this. Yite training with Blaze, 4v4. Ash is in, so much damage onto Habib, and Skis, the other soldier, comes in, but it's not enough. Everyone else dying. It's just Zilly stuck at last, and I don't know if these spawners will come in time. And it's just Zilly kind of left here to his own devices.
Yep, Jay's trying to find Zilly the best he can, but Zilly's showing himself, knowing that he has to make Jay try to get off the point at the very least, but not quite enough time bought for the respawner. So that is going to be a round for Froyotech, and we're back to where we were on Snakewater. It's 4-4, and there's not 4 minutes left in the round like last time that you have to rush. There's a whole like 19 and a half minutes to work with here, so we'll have to see who wins this mid fight, because it'll definitely show the pace at which we're playing for the rest of this match.
Yeah, this mid's gonna determine everything. Blaze once again in his own fountain, kind of denying that right side. The double bomb coming in, not great HP. They're gonna get on his Skis, get him down. Trips behind. Zilly getting caught by Jay, but he's gonna be alive. 4v3, Trip behind, a lot of damage onto Zilly. Zilly's gonna slip out, but Banny's relentless. He's trying to hit a meat shot, doesn't have any ammo loaded. Now it's just Habib who's gonna get out in a great mid from Corsia. Habib all the way out. I don't know where his traps are, but he's definitely gonna have some up, and you gotta watch out for those.
Yep, he has some at choke at the very least to see those, but of course he sees them as well. Trip trying to move them a little bit. Definitely very good mid coming from Corsia. They kind of recognize, okay, if you're just going to own the high ground and deny one soldier, we'll make sure the second one gets through. Trip gets denied, but Ash is able to get through and get the early medic pick, which gives them the heal advantage for the rest of the fight. And this Uber had to work with in the last. Got Froyotech setting up with a sentry gun. Not any sniper in play yet. Sentry's a little bit behind the hedge on their left side, so we'll have to see if Corsia is able to spot that out, but probably not, given the sight line's a little bit blocked, so it might thwart them a little bit in trying to get this Uber executed very well and getting the gun down very quickly. But it looks like it's going to be an Uber through Shutter.
Yeah, they walk through, they end up popping. The gun is on the right side behind the shed. It's been found. Everyone on Froyo kind of on the right side besides Banny. They find Habib, they catch him out, and everyone's on this left side. Froyo's getting collapsed on by the combination of Corsia, and it's just skis up, and they get the win in the clutch.
They may have lost Snakewater barely, but they won Villa barely, and that's good enough for them. You got to take at least one of those, so I'm sure that Corsia is very much happy with this victory, especially because their mid-fights were a little bit inconsistent near the end of the match, but at the end of the day, despite how important mid-fights can be, if you're not able to push into last properly or hold your own last properly, you will not be able to win the match. And it seems like the Froyotech last holds were not necessarily in the best place that they could have been, and it definitely contributed to their overall loss here tonight, I'd say.
That is that's what you like to see. A map that I don't think, if you were to ask me, is anyone going to take a map around or the game off of Froyo on Villa after seeing how they looked last season, I'd say no. And they just came out here and played absolutely lights out, even though the second half of the second half wasn't looking too hot, where they were leading and then just they lost those two mids and they came back 4-4, and when it counts, they won the mid again.
Yep, definitely showed up tonight in full force. We have the logs up on the screen, some good performances out of Habib as normal, but it wasn't quite enough. I would say the good performance coming out of Corsia is Brandslam going 40-14, definitely a very solid rock for his team, making sure that he stays alive with Zilly to make sure the deaths are minimized, but also being able to collect the kills as best as he can. So props to him on being that that guidance for his team to be able to stabilize themselves and continue on to victory. So good performance.
And I don't like to say it, but the flank of Froyo, they had a rough game. But
Definitely.
given Blaze hasn't had too much experience, I'll give him that excuse. But just overall, the flank of Corsia was looking pretty good. They didn't get backcapped, I don't think, once, right?
I don't think so. If they did, it was once, if that. But I think, like you said, it kind of goes to show that, like, at the end of the day, this is an upset map. Even if you prepare for it, it kind of goes to show that hard experience on the map definitely is very, very important. So when these teams are at an even playing field, especially after a showing on Snakewater where it's, both players and teams on each side have tons and tons of experience on the map. If you can get a close game on Snakewater, it's not too unheard of to get a close victory on a map like Villa.
Yeah, and just overall, great performances. I've got to give my props to Banny and Jay leading those kills on their team almost. And they actually even out the kills in the server, 129 to Froyo, 130 to Corsia, about less than a 3k damage advantage for Froyo. But from that 5-0 mids to 7-3, that's pretty good. That's some improvements there. And 2 drops from skis. I forget the circumstances. I remember one of them was a sync from Trip, but that may have contributed. But overall, Corsia played great in Froyo. They're going to be back in the lab, I guarantee you, and they're going to be better than ever before by the time playoffs comes around, or their next matchup with Corsia.
Hey, if you're the first seeded team and you were told that you were going to lose a match, I'm sure you're happy that it's regular season. Lose early on, learn from mistakes, and try to patch them up. So despite Froyotech being the juggernaut that they are, definitely a lot to learn from this match, and definitely shows that they're not unbeatable, and Corsia is definitely something to be afraid of if you're going into the match.
My God, it's
we got this guy back.
Oh, it's Zilly. How's it going, Zilly?
It's going good. I'm about to get banned from RGL.
That's what you like to see. All right, Chang. How you feeling about the boys' performance out there?
Branslam's dog, but we still win.
In spite of Brandslam winning, Trip with a big map 1 performance, and you got to give a little bit of credit. Throw the dog a bone. Brandslam kind of doing work on that second map there.
Did he do anything?
Yeah, he kind of dropped a 40-14 bomb, but
Coach, what did he do on the first map? I didn't even see the logs.
Doesn't matter. We're talking about the second map. Yep.
The first map doesn't matter.
No, it's just the second one. But overall, you guys looked really, really good. Although your mids weren't too great.
Yeah,
you guys salvaged a a lot of the times on the med, and you did a great job of getting out, recognizing, all right, we got to keep this Uber red and we got to keep it rolling. Overall, how do you? I just want opinions on this map, the new map, or newer.
This map sucks, dude.
All right.
I don't think anyone knows how to play it, and it's dog.
I'm sure once you play it more, you'll be able to get your victories even
I'm
more
never playing that
refined.
map
Why did you
again.
pick it?
Yeah, that's my
Why
question
did
is
you-
what leads you to pick Villa, because it's definitely not a map that I think a whole lot of people would expect your team to pick.
Because those nerds wouldn't want to play it either.
Oh, I see. Is this how you expected a night to go? Did you expect 5-4s in both
No,
directions?
I was planning on getting 5-0 twice and playing another game and go to sleep. Then they just started beefing on Snakewater.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you want to ask, Jarrett?
Do you expect something similar in terms of playoffs? Are you guys, if since it's a
Fuck
surprise,
no.
since it's a surprise victory, you expect them to
The
turn
next
up and
time
have
we
a chance?
play them, they're gonna 5-0 us like instantly. Danny's gonna watch every demo. We're gonna get shit stomped.
All right, I respect your confidence in your
6
team.
monitors of 6 POVs, but
Yeah,
you got
we are
anything else?
literally getting 4th place this season. Confidence.
You got anything else, Jarrett?
I think that's it for me.
All right, Chang, shoutouts.
Oh fuck! Okay, shout out to all Cafe Monster people. High five, Campy, Slemmy. Who else is there? Fucking
Jeff.
Bot Mode. Yeah, I forgot about him. That guy's dog. Shout out to Maccabeus. He's gonna ban me in the next week or so.
All right, is that you got more?
Yeah,
More
shout out to
Tank?
you. Shout out to you for being a loser and still watching 2 hours of that.
Yeah. you know.
Yikes, my god.
For casters, what else are we supposed to do?
Oh, not you, just Marmaloo.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
thanks,
don't worry
thanks,
about
thanks.
it. Don't worry about it. All right, that all you got the tank? You got more? Is that it?
Damn, that was embarrassing. How'd they let that happen?
All right, you gotta
those
don't
guys
get more.
suck!
Don't give them more whiteboard material. All right.
They are literally rolling us next time we play them.
And they're
Right.
typing. All right.
Well, only time will tell, I guess. What happens the next time that you guys play against each other. Got more matches to go for rest of the season and playoffs, but I think for the most part, that's mostly it for us. Marmalade, you got any shoutouts?
Shout out to Trip. He reclaimed that #1 spot, and yeah, I'm not giving any credit to Brand Slam or Alex. You know, I have to play pugs with them from time to time.
Oh.
Can't give them too big of a head. You know. You feel me, Chen?
Okay.
Oh.
Shout out to Dolphin though.
Those
for
are literally
producing.
your teammates.
Nice try.
I think overall, though, I think for the most part, that's it from us. So thank you guys for watching this triple header. It was a very long night, and we'll see you guys next time.